Bespoke radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
I need your help to get to the year 1985. You're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Good evening. Fade to Black. Bespoke Radio. For the masses. Yeah, how you doing? How you doing? Today's Monday, November 9th, 2020. 314 days into the new year. Only 52 days left. We are live from a bunker somewhere in the middle of beautiful downtown Burbank, California. Chilly outside. Yeah. It's about 50 degrees. Nippy. Turned on the heat this weekend. Sure did. That's right. Well, I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world. All across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro. Back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black for KJCR, the Game Changer Network, and KGRA, the planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? How you doing? Did you have a good weekend? Yeah. I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did. And what a week we have got coming up on Fade to Black. Tonight, right here, tonight, very special guest, Chad Calek. I cannot wait for this tonight. He's here to announce the premiere of his new film. It's called Phantom Rider. I have seen it. It is great. It premieres tomorrow. All right, so we'll be talking about all of that tonight, and we'll talk about SIR NOFACE. We'll talk about Two-Face, The Gray. This is part 3, by the way, of those 2 films. So we'll be, talking about the first 2 and this new one. It's pretty good, and it's great, I should say. And that's tonight. Tomorrow night, Steve LaPlume is here, and Steve has got a new book out about Rendlesham, and this is the thing. We'll be talking about all of this tomorrow night with Steve, that there was a second UFO incident at Rendlesham, happened a month after the famous incident and those 2 or 3 days that involved all of the players that we're all familiar with. But tomorrow night it's Steve LaPlume, and get ready for this. All right, so that's tomorrow night. And then Wednesday night, we got a call from one of the Fadernauts on Thursday night on Fader Night that said, "Hey, Jimmy, I need you to get Scott Walter on to talk about Albert Pike." And I said, "Hey, you know what? Hey, I can do that. I can do that." So picked up the phone, called Scott, said, "Albert Pike." He said, "Absolutely." And gave me the rundown, and it's going to be an incredible show. So that's what the word bespoke means when it comes into play about Fade to Black right there, okay? So Wednesday night, Scott Walter and The Secret Life of Albert Pike. Get ready for that. Oh, Fade to Black is back. Thursday is another Fader night with open lines all night long, and there you go. Just a normal week of normal stuff on Fade to Black. So excited. Oh, man. Chad Calek's going to be with us at the bottom of the hour, so get ready for that. And so let's get a few things out of the way. I want you to go to forbiddenknowledge.tv. Get signed up. Check out Billy Carson's new television network. It is absolutely incredible. We have banners and links over at jimmychurchradio.com. Get signed up first 3 days for free. That's all you need to go and check out everything that Billy's got going on over there. And, of course, get your own crystal skull like I've got, like this guy right here. You can go get one of yours from Carolyn Ford. One like that. Look at this. It gets a little bigger, right? Carolyn Ford. Head over to EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Maybe you want a baby Einstein like this one. You want a baby Einstein, right? 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 Carolyn Ford. EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. The banners and links are over at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Promo code Jimmy, 10% off of your order today. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Yeah. Follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Hashtag F2B. It's right up in front of me. That's the sandbox. We have 2 chat rooms open, one over at Spreaker, one over at KGRA The Planet. Of course, everybody over on YouTube, what is up? And Facebook Live, what is up? And that's the video feeds and the bunker cam, of course. Hello to everybody watching some dude in a sealed room surrounded by guitars talking to a microphone all night long. How exciting is that? Yeah, there you go. All right. Oh, man. Let's get to the breaking news. Russian President Vladimir Putin has confirmed that Armenia and Azerbaijan have struck a deal to end the conflict over Artsakh. And this is the deal. Russian peacekeepers will be deployed along the line of contact. The agreement will create conditions for a long-term settlement of the crisis in the interest of both parties, Putin said shortly after midnight Moscow time today. Confirming reports of the armistice, Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan described as painful but necessary. According to the text of the agreement that appeared in Russian media around midnight Moscow time, When the armistice is going to take effect, Russia will deploy about 2,000 peacekeepers along the line of contact and the Lachin corridor, the road connection between Nagorno-Karabakh and the Armenia country proper. These peacekeepers will move in as the Armenian armed forces withdraw and will stay for 5 years. This is all according to the draft. An automatic 5-year extension of their mandate is envisioned unless any of the parties objects 6 months before its expiration. After the announcement of the peace deal, crowds besieged the parliament and government offices in Armenia's capital of Yerevan, and Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan's whereabouts are currently unknown. Armenia's parliament is also reportedly under control of the protesters. This is a fluid and breaking story and situation. Unbelievable what is going down right now in Armenia. I'll have more on this on the show tomorrow. Now, moving on. More than 4,500 exoplanets have been discovered so far, with only a small portion thought to have the properties to contain life. A new study suggests that the galaxy, the Milky Way, our Milky Way, may actually contain 300 million planets capable of supporting life. The research analyzed data from the Kepler Space Telescope and found approximately half of the stars that have a similar temperature to our sun, plus or minus up to about 1,500 degrees Fahrenheit, could also be orbited by rocky planets with liquid water on their surfaces. Let me repeat, 300 million planets capable of supporting life. The new study, which is slated to be published in the Astronomical Journal, looked at the relationship between the temperature of the star and the light of an orbiting planet absorbed. Now, in their findings, the researchers also said that there are at least four potentially habitable exoplanets within 20 to 30 light years from Earth. How crazy is that? Now, let's get to the asteroid report. After avoiding catastrophe on Election Day last week, in the form of course, Asteroid 2018 VP1, NASA is now warning of another 3 space rocks that are headed our way, while also suggesting that the planet killer Bennu may be hollow and spinning and disintegrating. Yeah, how crazy is that? Now, first up, measuring 46 meters is Asteroid 2020 UN3. It's going to pass our planet at the safe distance of around 2.7 million miles. Right after that, and almost double the size, the 72-meter 2020 UL3. It's going to cruise past us at 3.6 million miles. Then, in 3 days, on November 12th, Asteroid 2020 VC, measuring 34 meters in diameter, or roughly half the wingspan of a 747 jet, is set to fly by Earth at a distance of around 3.2 million miles. But I've got 2 honorable mentions, and that's 2018 VS4, it's 23 meters in diameter, and the 27-meter 2020 VC1, both of which will make flybys of Earth this week, but are not expected to be any threat to us and humanity. So we got that going for us. Now, I got some good news. Film and television production is slowly returning, and even as the pandemic continues, but my 2 current favorite series are back to work. Star Trek Discovery, right, is back in production a week ago in Toronto, and I just got word that The Orville, Seth MacFarlane's homage to Star Trek, is ramping up to restart production on its 3rd season next month in December. As of now, there is no target date for the Orville Season 3's debut on Hulu, but they hope to start the season before the end of 2021. Here's the other news. Season 3 will consist of 11 episodes, each of which will have a longer runtime than episodes from the first 2 seasons, which aired on Fox. Let's get the show cracking. Happy birthday to today, the Hulk. Lou Ferrigno, today, 69 years old. And original Iron Maiden guitarist Dennis Stratton today is 66. He played on the first record, did the first tour. I think they opened for Kiss. I could be wrong. I'm making that up. No, I'm not. I might be. Our dead guy's birthday today is Carl Sagan. 1934 to 1996, died at the age of 62. Carl was, of course, an American astronomer, planetary scientist, cosmologist, astrophysicist, astrobiologist, author, poet, and science communicator. His best-known scientific contribution is research on extraterrestrial life, including experimental demonstrations of the production of amino acids from basic chemicals by radiation. That's right. Carl also narrated and co-wrote the award-winning television series Cosmos, A Personal Voyage, the most widely watched series in the history of American public television. Cosmos has been seen by at least 500 million people across 60 different countries. Well, and of course, he also wrote the science fiction novel Contact, the basis for the 1997 film of the same name, and his papers containing 595,000 items are archived at the Library of Congress. Now, after receiving 3 bone marrow transplants from his sister, Sagan died from pneumonia at the age of 62 at the Fred Hutchinson Cancer Research Center in Seattle, Washington, on December 20th, 1996, at the age of 62. Happy birthday, Carl Sagan. On this day in history, 1989, East German officials opened the Berlin Wall, allowing travel from East to West Berlin. The following day, celebrating Germans began to tear that wall down. That's right. Man, whenever you think that, history or, the current status of everything is just in stone and will never change, there's an example right there. Things do change. Fader fact. In 1856, listen to this. In 1856, businessman and aeronautics enthusiast Matthias Perez took off in a hot air balloon at sunset in Cuba. There are pictures documenting this event, and he was never seen again. That's it. Sailed off to the sunset. Literally. And that is your Fader fact. All right. Oh, man. Let me hit this River Moon Coffee. RiverMoonCoffee.com. Tonight, very special guest, Chad Calek. He is back. He is here to announce the premiere of his new film. It is called Phantom Rider. Premieres tomorrow. We'll talk about all of that, where you can go and see it. That is tomorrow. I have seen the entire film. We'll be talking about that tonight. And, of course, all of his films. But this is part 3 of SIR NOFACE and NOFACE the Gray. Okay, Two-Face. So this is part 3 tonight. We'll be talking about all of that. And then tomorrow night, Steve LaPoom is here for the first time. And we are talking about his new book. There was a second Rendlesham incident on January 28th, 1981 at Eastgate. You may not have heard about it. The book is out now. We will be talking about all of that tomorrow night. And then Wednesday night, Scott Wolter. Scott Wolter is going to be back here talking about the secret life of Albert Pike. Thursday night is another Fader night with open lines all night long. All right. River Moon Coffee. RiverMoonCoffee.com. The best. What a weekend, huh? What a crazy mood change that the entire planet went through. Yep. Happened over the weekend. And looking at, and it was pretty bizarre to see everything just start to unfold in, different cities and countries around the world. And what appeared to be just jubilation and harmony and happiness. Yeah, that was pretty cool. I dug it. But I've got to say this. I posted over on Facebook that, apparently, and this, I just kind of woke up and, it's the weekend and I've got stuff to do. Oh, man, I've got new security systems to install over at the house. Got to do that. I got to make sure that those are all working and installed. And yard work, the garage, man, a little carpet cleaning, things. I was busy. And so I jump on Facebook. And I notice, and I'm just scrolling through, which I don't do much of, especially over the last year. Right? I just don't like seeing the fighting and things. Personal friends of mine, not friends that I met and that are friends with in the last 5 years or 10 years. I'm talking about friends and family that go back 3, 4, 5 decades. Fighting and posting. And it just I just didn't dig it. So I stopped scrolling through the news feeds. I stopped, probably 6 months ago. Just won't do it. I do my little post, I'm out. Right? Little post, I'm out. I'm just out. I can't get dragged into the mess. And I was seeing it unfold. Right? And I jump on Facebook and I know, like the first thing in the feed usually is some crazy stuff, somebody fighting, somebody posting, somebody angry. And the first thing I see is somebody's dog, whatever. I'm like, wow, that's kind of weird. So I started scrolling through Facebook and I'm seeing a change. I'm looking back. I mean, what was gone were the negative conspiracy theories, the fights in the division, virtually overnight, by the way. And back, what I see in my feed are posts about life and pets and food and family. What's going on here? I'm just like scrolling through. What? Now, let me say this really quick. It could be one of two things. It could be that everything is genuine, right? That these are real posts about life and pets and food and what everybody's eating and their kids and family and birthdays and all of that. That it could be just that. Or, right? Or it could be the Facebook algorithms just weeding everything out. And just maybe that's what was happening before November 3rd, right? Could everybody's feeds have been influenced? I'm just saying. Or it is genuine. Maybe now everybody's done. It's it. The fighting, the thing, it's just like relief. And it is life, pets, food, family. School, jobs, the weather. Maybe. But I enjoyed it. Right? Okay. But I was never comfortable in saying that conspiracy is the new normal. I said it, and I said it years ago. This wasn't anything new. The thought of that, conspiracy is the new normal, that scares the crap out of me. It does. Now, I don't know about you, but I kind of like my conspiracies left to us in our little circle. I mean, you have to leave conspiracy theory to the professionals. We know how to deal with them. The rest of the world did not. You can't be a newbie. You can't be fresh. You can't be a fresh initiate to the world of conspiracy like what is going down right now. It messes with people. You can't. Just leave the conspiracies to us. We'll keep you posted. Because the conspiracy community, let me break it down like this. The conspiracy community is a bunch of different groups. All right? And you can hang out at a conference or whatever, a little get together, and you can kind of look around and say, you know, there is so-and-so. You know, they're kind of into that, you know, they're into, that's, you know, that's what they're doing. And then whatever, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then look over here and, oh, there's so-and-so. He, she believes that, blah, blah, blah. Right? But we in this community accept everyone's opinions and beliefs. We have always had an open door policy around here. Well, about almost anything. But we don't fight. We don't end friendships. And we certainly don't lose our minds and divide. Now, we can handle it. We're used to it. Which is why I'm so happy about getting the drama of everything behind us. And getting back to what Fade to Black is all about. Conspiracy, UFOs, time travel, lost history, paranormal, supernatural, and everything else that makes this show so much fun. Each and every night. That's what unites all of us. And I say it all the time. This is like the barbershop, man. You know, to quote the barbershop and you know, Ice Cube's movie, that we can say anything inside of here. All right? You can go anywhere you want to go inside of here. We will listen. We may not buy into it, but you're not going to be hated normally. There's a few. But that's not going to happen. You're not going to lose friendships. You can hang out and have a conversation. That's it. And that's what makes this show so great. Watching the disintegration of the world on Facebook and Twitter and other social media platforms was sad for me, because that isn't how this community operates. To be sure, if you look at the Fadernauts in the Facebook or Twitter or even YouTube, any feed, any conversation over on Spreaker, the chat rooms, KGRA, everybody in there is 50-50 if you're going to get into the political realm. But nobody honestly gives a crap. They know. They know, but that's not why they're here. Right? And it's not about your religion or your background or your beliefs or personally who you are about. We are here to try to figure out what the heck is going on. And I cannot be any more clear. There may be some out there that are trying to influence in UFO, in ufology and conspiracy theory. That's fine. It's never going to change. It's always been there. But I have seen what I have seen. And that's what drives me here. And going back over the years, the craziness in my life, right? That's well established. But and the things that made me the person who I am on the radio today, the personality. But then we go to that frigging beer can. That frigging beer can where I've got 20, 30, 40 friends of mine around me, and we all see this thing together. That's in the middle of the day, and it's right there in front of us, and then just disappears in the clear blue sky. That's what I'm interested in. The divide, the divisiveness, and the things that have happened will happen again. 50,000 years from now, there will be the same conspiracy-driven political system. It ain't going to change. It's been that way going back 5,000 years. And you think about every single situation, whether it's in the United Kingdom, Germany, North Africa. Think about what went down between the Mayans and the Aztecs Oh, man, the Incas, the craziness, right? Think about all of the drama that has gone down in China for 5,000 years or Japan. Pick a country. It's always been there, and it's going to continue. We're not going to wake up one day like this weekend and see harmony all around the world and changes in play. No, it's not. And that's what makes Fade to Black great. We put all of that aside, and we are here on a mission. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. That will never change. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. Tonight, Chad Calek is here. We're talking about his brand new film. It is premiering tomorrow called Phantom Rider. Chad's going to be here with us right after the break on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. You can follow me on Twitter at JChurchRadio. It's really that simple. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. I'll be right back after this short break with our guest, Chad Calek. Stay right there.
This is Nicole Church, daughter of you-know-who, and you're listening to Fade to Black on JimmyChurchRadio.com and the Game Changer Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio. Introducing the Game Changer blend from River Moon Coffee that delivers a customized blend made specifically for the Fadernauts. If the game is rigged, change the game. It's a bolder cup with some bite. Game Changer is the coffee of choice for those that prefer an organic dark roast that is slightly lighter and milder, but it's still dark. With wild notes of pecans and chocolate with a rich, balanced, full-bodied cup that is roasted to perfection for a great coffee to start your day, as an after-dinner coffee or anywhere in between. Artisan, small batch roasted to perfection. USDA certified organic, all River Moon coffee is freshly roasted and packaged in the USA. Just go to rivermooncoffee.com or click on the banners over on our site and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. rivermooncoffee.com. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can get our podcast for just $2 per month. All you have to do is click on the podcast banner over at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, folks. It's troubling times, and fear is pushing emotions, which in turn pushes health the wrong direction. Do you ever get an ache because life is uneasy? Try Life Change Tea at GetTheTea.com. Life Change Tea works on your digestive tract, helping to move food through quicker and comfortably so your health is spot on. Life Change Tea may not help with world issues, but it will help with your digestive issues. A glass a day helps keep the intruders away. So, change your life today. Log on to GetTheTea.com. That's GetTheTea.com. If your health game is off, get on by ordering Life Change Tea. GetTheTea.com. And while you're on our site, look around at the great non-GMO organic supplements. And if you're a sales shopper, go to our specials page and see what's for you. I've been drinking the tea for 12 years, and I'm sure glad for its health benefits. Again, that's GetTheTea.com. GetTheTea.com. The tea that makes you go.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Rob Reiner from Anvil, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
What's up? I'm Chris. What up? This is Kyle Massey, and you're listening to Jimmy Church Radio.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. What a great week we have here on Fade to Black. Getting back to what is real. Tonight, Chad Calek is here. We're talking about his new film. It's releasing tomorrow, premiering Phantom Rider. And then tomorrow night, Steve LaPlume is going to be here. And we're talking about the second Rendlesham incident that happened on January 28th, 1981, almost exactly a month after the now famous Rendlesham Bent Waters incident. So that's going down tomorrow night. Wednesday night, Scott Wolter is here. We're going to be talking about the secret life of Albert Pike. Thursday night's another Fader night with open lines all night long. But tonight, it is guest Chad Calek, researcher, TV host, film director. Chad is going to be joining us to talk about his new film. It's called Phantom Rider. And also, we're going to talk about his new 5-picture deal with Gravitas Features and the current state of the UFO question. All of that is happening. Chad has spent over 25 years investigating the world's most haunted locations in search for answers to the bizarre, the mysterious, and the unexplained. Although known for capturing some of the most compelling evidence in the history of the paranormal field, he's also developed a reputation as a staunch debunker who has discovered rational explanations to many of the world's most famous paranormal legends. He is also the director and producer of American Ghost Hunter documentary, SIR NOFACE, and also part 2, Two-Face the Gray. Phantom Rider is part 3, and all of the links for Chad are over at jimmychurchradio.com. I'd like to welcome back to Fade to Black, Chad Calek. Chad, how you doing, my man?
I'm doing great. That is a wonderful introduction. Thank you, my friend.
I haven't seen you for almost a year.
Yeah, man.
And we're friggin' neighbors.
I know. And I think we talked about getting together to barbecue or something, and it never went down.
It didn't go down for anybody.
Yeah, I was gonna say COVID went down. That's what happened. Yeah.
Absolutely. So obviously, we know what you've been up to over the last year is Phantom Rider, and putting this film together. One of the things that most people may not know about you is you pretty much handle all aspects of the production, except for some of the music, right?
Yeah, I have a tremendous team behind me that helps me with the business side of it all. And when it comes to the physical film production side of it all, yeah, I'm the editor of my films. I direct them, produce them. I have an executive producing partner, Thomas Lee Bottom, who's also my partner with my production company, and he's incredible. I got a great management team, but yeah, we're all in-house. And as you mentioned earlier, we were very fortunate. We just landed a 5-picture deal for worldwide distribution through Gravitas, which is pretty unheard of. So yeah, I was pretty excited about that.
Yeah, and congratulations. I want the audience to know this is what's really weird. I love the universe and how it works. But last week, Chad texted me, and it's just like, hey, dude, what's up? I get the text. And Rita and I we were having breakfast in bed. All right, that's what was going down. And we're settling in for the evening. I turned on the TV. 5 minutes after Chad's text, SIR NOFACE is the recommended film up on the television screen. It's like, what are the odds of that happening, Chad?
That's wild.
Unless you knew, right? You just texted me because you knew it was going to pop up in my feed, right?
No, I did not. But that's great feedback for the distributor. But look, yeah, I think anybody's dream when you set out to be a filmmaker is to have Final Cut first and foremost, to be able to control what you're releasing, which we have full Final Cut, and the ability to take something from your edit bay to around the world. Is incredible. We had an amazing first run with American Ghost Hunter, and just last week they released Two-Face the Gray to make sure it was out before Phantom Rider was out.
Right.
And they were successful in landing it in over 200 million U.S. homes. It's picked up on Comcast cable, like you name it, it's out there.
Yeah. It popped up on my screen immediately. But you just mentioned, I'm going to jump ahead and back up. You just mentioned that you had, Final Cut and edit. That's great. That's what every director wants, right?
Yes.
But apparently you didn't. You got hacked.
Well, my computer got hacked.
Yeah, somebody decided that they wanted Final Cut, and you showed me the video in real time of your computer being taken over. That kind of freaked me out. Take the audience through that really quick. What went down at that moment?
Well, I had literally just finished up the edit to Phantom Rider. And as we're going to talk about, this is a long, winding story. But what it partially involves is a lot of really bizarre things that started happening in the realm of surveillance, from things that I've documented, weird things with our phones, with my television, with my web being hacked, my email. And so I get to the end of this, very telling film of what, my partner and I from Australia are dealing with. And I finally get the film done. And I'm going to render it out. This is the final copy. I'm going to render it out.
Right.
And suddenly my computer literally just, none of the keys work, but all this stuff just starts going up on the screen, and all the raw files turn different colors, and you could see somebody take a screenshot as if they're bragging, like they want to get a screenshot of what's going on. And I couldn't do anything. And the computer ended up just being locked, and then it just went completely to black. And when I started back up, all of the raw files, the raw media files to that Final Cut edit were completely corrupted. So the film was gone. None of the files would open up. They wouldn't go back to the edit, nothing. Thankfully, I run a clone drive the entire time to everything that I'm doing, and every night I dump that onto cold storage, a drive that's not connected to the web.
Mm-hmm.
So I still had all the files. So thankfully, it was safe, but someone literally hacked and destroyed the cut, and you could see it happen in real time. You could hear my response and my wife's response as she's watching it, going, "What is going on?" I'm like, I have no idea. And listen, I've seen a million lockups and everything else. I've been editing forever. I know what's normal and what's not.
Mm-hmm. Happens all the time. Lockups happen all the time.
Yeah, and what was going on here was so not normal, because it wasn't that it was locked up. I was just locked out.
Right.
And there was all kinds of stuff. So when I initially put that footage out, I had a girl get a hold of me and say, hey, I've seen this before. This type of, hack that they did in the taking of the screenshot. She gave me a name of the group. I'd have to remember, but she said they often post stuff on 4chan, which is, a place where people love to post stuff when they're messing with people. And she's like, so you definitely got hacked by somebody with a trademark that was doing it on purpose. And I'm just sitting there going, when you see everything else that's in the film, it's terrifying, because we really get to the point where you just don't feel comfortable. You can't feel comfortable. And when you feel like your entire life is being hacked, and there's obviously some other very scary stuff in the film we'll get into that preceded this, but yeah. So the weird thing was, and I was incredibly lucky to have recorded it, because literally at that time I was recording a message to my partners saying, hey guys, I'm done. Here's the line. It's over. You know what I mean? And then, that went down.
Yeah.
So,
watching a mouse move around on your computer screen when it's not you is a pretty messed up thing. I've never gone through it. I have to stop and pause here for a second. I've had some weird things go down. I'm not sure I've ever had that, right? A takeover. Now let's do this before we break to the next segment. This Phantom Rider is part 3.
Yes.
To this series of films. So let's go back a little bit, and what was the original intention behind SIR NOFACE, which is part 1?
Yes, SIR NOFACE is released, guys. It's on iTunes. It's out there everywhere. That was originally going to be a standalone film about Craig Powell, this gentleman I met in Australia while on tour, who showed me this incredible footage he had of this entity, and he was hired by the Australian government. And they sent him out to Cockatoo Island in Sydney Harbor, to this old Royal Naval base, because the government couldn't keep their own employees hired there, and they wanted to know what was going on. That's what they told him. So he went out there. They offered him crazy amounts of money. They gave him full access to the place, let him live out there. And he started capturing footage unlike anything I've ever seen before.
So it was a paranormal ghost hunt. It was a paranormal investigation. Nothing to do with ETs or UFOs at that point.
Nothing.
Right.
He was told they were certain it was a ghost. They believed it was a ghost. That's why they contacted him. He had his own ghost hunting team that did very well around there. And that was the lens that he approached it on.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the lens that he, showed the footage to me on. So that first film is me honestly trying to debunk him, trying to figure out how he could have possibly faked this. Because there's some staggering stuff. Like there was this light phenomena where on call, this entity that they called SIR NOFACE could make a room light up like a lightning bolt went off. And not once, not twice, dozens of times whenever they'd want to happen, to the point where they went and got the government and brought them out and showed the government, and they freaked out completely.
Mm-hmm.
But then he had this stellar footage of this entity that they came to call SIR NOFACE because of the building that was in. It was the officers' quarters, so Officer SIR.
Mm-hmm.
And NOFACE was a nickname because of the way the face had contours, but it didn't look like a human face. So I spent 2 years trying to debunk this guy, and all I was able to do is, through my attempts to debunk him, was to prove for sure it was whatever's on film is an entity of some type. Because we're going into it and we're being told it's a paranormal case, I'm assuming, well, if it's not human, then it's a ghost. That's what it is. And so that was the first film. When we took that on the road, I was shocked because whenever you make big statements like, "Look, this is definitive footage,"
right.
You think you're going to get beat down by people. It's just part of what it is. But I'm telling you, man, I didn't hear a single person. And this is a 28 city tour, packed out every night, close to 1,000 people. I didn't hear a single person tell me, "No, you're wrong. That's not a ghost." What I heard and what Craig heard and what we started seeing online everywhere was, "You're wrong. It's not a ghost. It's a gray alien." In which you told me that was your initial thought as well.
Yes, that's right.
Which is crazy because we heard that nonstop. And it was about a good 6 months of being pelted every single day of people saying, "Reopen this. Like, go back and look at this through a lens of a ufologist." And admittedly, I'm not a ufologist.
Yeah, I remember after I saw the film and you called me up and said, "So what'd you think?" I said, "Dude, I don't think that's a ghost." I know, and when I suggested a gray at that point, Chad, you and I remember you and I having all of these conversations. You didn't know pretty much anything about the UFO subject.
Yeah, I mean, I was a fan like anybody who's into the bizarre and the mysterious, but my knowledge was admittedly
naive.
Minimal.
Yes,
right. I'm not the dude that can go ripping down, 20 past cases and knew anything. So I really was like, well, there were a lot of weird things that happened when we were making the film, including the night that we announced in Australia that we were going to make this SIR NOFACE film. Some guy bought like a VIP ticket at my event, and he was wearing all black, had tattoos on his face, and he handed me this box of all this UFO stuff. And he told me this incredibly interesting story where he said he got knifed and smuggled, or he got shot and knifed to get this information out of Mexico. He didn't want money, didn't want press, wouldn't do press, didn't want anything, but that I was basically his insurance policy because nobody knew we were connected.
Right.
And he just wanted me to look at. And so I'm back in my room looking at this going, why would he give this to me, man? Like, I'm not the UFO guy,
Right.
And then Craig started bringing up different details and things about their investigation that made total sense in the UFO realm. The thing like the loss of time that they had when they were investigating. And there was a number of other things that came out of the film. So we said, well, let's do this then. Let's let's reopen it. Let's, I'm not a ufologist, so I'm kind of the perfect guy in the sense that I'm just going to walk in and start asking questions,
right?
And man, I am telling you, the more and more we went down that road, the more and more my world became so bizarre, where suddenly my emails are getting hacked constantly. My phone, which is documented well, is doing the craziest things when we're on it. There was definitely for sure a car that was following me. But Craig, man, the stuff that started happening to him,
which was in Australia. You're back here in the States. Cars are following you. The craziness has started. Weird bleeps and clicks, and there you go. But Craig Powell is back in Australia, and he's having stuff happen to him with people showing up on his property at the end of the driveway, his family, his kids. But that was in Australia, so this was this was intercontinental.
What was weird is it was all happening simultaneously. Like there's one part of the film where I'm questioning something that happened to me, and I get a phone call from his wife, and she's like, "Listen, Craig's looking for a payphone to call you. Like he's scared. Like you gotta, something happened." And then I find out, these guys came to his house and they threatened him, told him to walk away. They had some kind of something that caused him to have a headache and a nosebleed. And look, let me say this too. When I'm hearing this stuff, if I didn't spend 2 years trying to debunk him and finding out what kind of a man he is, and if I didn't know him, of course, I would go, dude, you are crazy. But when the weirdest things in the world are happening to me consistently, and they're happening at the same time with him, I hadn't even told them, but I thought I was being followed. And you can see in the film when his wife sends me the video saying I'm being followed. And his wife describes the same exact car at the same time. I'm like, oh my God. And what it seemed to be at that time is just a massive campaign to intimidate. That's what it seemed to be to me. Just too many things were happening. And at the end of Two-Face the Gray, we had got to this point where we were kind of like, how far are we going to push this? Because, as we see in Phantom Rider, which you'll see, there's a part there, and we discussed it last time. That's why I'm okay with bringing it up without playing the spoiler. But we talked about how there were people watching his house at night. And he finally snuck out of his house and got a photo of him. And it had this glowing head, this really weird, really bizarre stuff was going on with him. And when we left off at the end of Two-Face the Gray, my goal and intention at that time was to go back to, we're forgetting the biggest part of this. In the middle of this whole thing, I get this book-long email from this guy who goes by the name of Daniel David Skyfall. And he claims that he worked for an agency, an intelligence agency, and his job was basically UFO disinformation. His job was to go online and throughout the world to make people look stupid, basically. And he started saying he realized how much damage he was doing, and that he was being used, and he was a black hat turned white hat, right? And he wants to help now. And I put him through so much because I was just like, dude, you could be anybody, man. You could be anybody. And I finally said to him, you have to either tell me your name or come forward or whatever. You got to do something. And he just laid out a list. This was 2 years ago, a list of things that were coming, in the media, in the world. And man, I mean, he was accurate about everything to a scary, uncanny degree. So I literally got to the point where I was like, listen, either this guy is the world's greatest, guesser and should be going to Vegas right now, or he knows somebody who knows something, because he's calling things out. He was saying, look, in 3 weeks, the networks are going to start talking about this, this, and this. Then the Navy is going to release a story about, these videos. Tom DeLonge's video, that whole group, he had all kinds of things to say about them. And it just, everything he was saying started, piecing together. So Craig and I got to a point where I was like, you know what, listen, the tattooed face man who gave me this package, we need to find out and start crossing things off the list. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And find out who is this? Who is messing with your stuff? Who is following us? Because if it's just the government, like the formal government, knock on my door and tell me it's none of my business, and I'm done. It's fine. So, but I don't think it is. I think there is a third party, and where Two-Face leaves off, my plan was just to go back to Australia and try to finish this thing up, determine who is doing this, and determine what the plan is. Because a plan did start to kind of unfold, and it had a lot to do with this fake alien invasion thing, which when I first heard about this, I had no idea this was a thing in the UFO community about a fake alien invasion that the government would like to unroll in order to bring together like a new world order, right? Again, a lot of these concepts, when I talk to UFO guys, they're just like you. They just nod their head and went, yeah, right.
Yeah, this we talk about these every day.
Dude, I'm looking at people going, all right, what? Like this, what are you talking about? Yeah, right, But one by one, these strange things just start connecting. And the more and more you connect the dots, I started to realize this is the type of rabbit hole you can fall in and lose your life, man. I mean, you just don't. So I was like, I just got to know who this is, who's doing this, who's behind us, and if this stuff is something, that's real. Well, after Two-Face ended, there was just everything went to the next level. Once Two-Face came out, once I did the show with you last time,
yep.
After that, everything went to the next level. There's so much stuff I don't want to give away because it's in Phantom Rider, but this stuff started coming to my home in a big way, where things were happening inside my home that were dragging me out. Things were going on outside my place. Things were going on with my car. I mean, there was massive stuff that was going on. And then, I get a call from Craig, and I talked to him, his family, and his son, and something major happened to him that I was truly scared. I was just like, what are we doing? Like, obviously, we're knocking on doors that real stuff is happening. Not Hollywood stuff. Real stuff is happening that we're in danger, and we need to really decide how, you can only stick your hand in the fire so long, right? Before you start getting blisters.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And you can only, it's one thing to have your personal interest here, and it's great, and you can make your next documentary, and you're collecting information, right? It's a whole nother thing when your friends and family and people around you are getting affected by this. And where's the worth, right? You can be a martyr. Chad, you can take one. You can take one for the team. But it's another thing when other people, too, have to go down with you, and that's not cool.
Well, and that's the thing. I think everybody has a moment where you got to stop and say, look, man, is the juice worth the squeeze here? What what am I, what is going on, man? Like,
is the juice worth the squeeze here? I've so stolen that. All right, let's take our break. Chad, you stay right there. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Chad Calek is here. We're talking about his new film. It is called Phantom Rider. Available worldwide starting tomorrow. Links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. We got lots to talk about tonight. You stay right there on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. This is Fade to Black. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station, Salt Lake City, Utah, Van Buren, Arkansas.
Hello,
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Again, visit ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer, Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of fade to black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hello, I'm Katie, and you're listening to my main man, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Hi, this is Ray Hobbs here, repping the planet, and you're listening to my good friend, Jimmy Church, Fade to Black, on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA Digital Broadcast Station.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. We are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and you can become an official Fadernaut by just going to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
Hello, this is Serena Wright Taylor from Conscious Life Expo, and you're listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church, who holds the Lucky Pony record for the best astrological chart since 1963. True story.
This is Micah Hanks of the Gralien Report, and you're listening to Jimmy Church on Fade to Black, across the globe on the Game Changer Radio Network and the one and only KGRA Radio, The Planet.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Chad Calek is here. We're talking about his new film. It's called Phantom Rider. It's releasing tomorrow, and it is part 3 of his series, SIR NOFACE and Two-Face the Gray. This is part 3. And the journey continues. And Chad, where can everybody watch the film tomorrow?
You can get it on iTunes. It's on Vudu, Amazon Prime, Google Play. It's pretty much if you have Comcast cable or Verizon, it's on that. Xbox, PlayStation, pretty much anywhere there's video on demand. Go there and it'll be there. But iTunes seems to be the easiest. Most people have an iTunes account. But yeah.
Yeah, there you go. And my first question about all of this, which kind of goes back to where you and I were 2 and 3 years ago when all of this started to unfold. How is your UFO knowledge today? You know what I mean? You've been thrust into this now.
Yeah. I've through doing this, I've met people like you and that do have a vast knowledge of this, and I feel like I could hang. You know what I mean? I'm not. Again, I haven't spent 20 years of my life on it. But I am fascinated by the entire UFO field and where the thoughts and ideas are going. And there's a lot of evidence of really bizarre stuff. I mean, one of the things that David Skyfall did is he laid out this whole kind of history for me to follow, where this all started, all the way up to what we were doing. And, essentially, I also want to point this out, too. At the end of Two-Face the Gray, we did discover a lot of reasons to think that was, in fact, a Gray, and that the Australian government pretty much misled Craig, which actually made a lot more sense than them just calling him out of the blue, offering him a ton of money to go be a ghost hunter for 2 years. It didn't make any sense what they initially offered him, but it made sense if you stepped back and said, while Craig thinks he's documenting, some kind of paranormal activity, they're actually documenting him and his interaction with this thing and what it is. Because where Skyfall went is he basically said that there is this fake alien invasion is coming, and they're going to need more than lights in the sky and Project Bluebeam to create these images in the sky. They're going to need physical creatures. They're going to need something that you could see. And then Stephen Greer, was on stage talking about in Australia, they're supposedly making these, bio robots, alien drone grays that are there. And Craig is going, is that what we were looking at? Is that what we were there with the whole time? And as crazy as this stuff sounds, you still go back and you go, listen, right, sounds crazy. Here's what's not crazy. He caught something on film for real. That's not human. Okay, he definitely did, and I don't know what that thing is, But through this process, yeah, I've I'm like anybody else, I guess who's has a driven personality. When I fall into something, once I'm into it, I it just give it all to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
I watched so many documentaries on UFOs and have read so much about. I knew the Rendlesham Forest incident. I knew all that stuff that you mentioned earlier. But yeah, it's a different field than the paranormal field for sure. The UFO field seems to be more aggressive. People are very, very intense about their opinions.
Yeah, well, and what is interesting is that 3 years ago, when you and I first started talking about the first film and everything else, what has transpired since then in the world of ufology and how everything did start to spill out there. And meanwhile, you're the new guy on the scene. You're being fed this information, but then you start to watch it happen on Fox and Tucker Carlson and the New York Times as it was being laid out to you, when you didn't know actually that any of this was possible. But then it did happen. How did that make you feel?
It's really uncomfortable, especially when before, out of college, I was a journalist. I worked for the Des Moines Register, the Iowa State Daily. And like the reason that, was important is when you see all of a sudden 5 pilots talking to the New York Times, David Fravor on every channel, and, and this other guy, you start realizing that, look, these are members of the military. Like, they don't just, 5 active pilots don't just show up in the New York Times. Okay, they have to have clearance. Like the Pentagon has to decide who's going to talk, what is the message that you're getting across, what are you going to say, what are you not, and you start realizing, wait a minute, there are meetings going on in the Pentagon here about UFOs and rolling out this story, and all these things are happening, and then I think one of the biggest things for me that as someone who just fell into this field, I looked at Tom DeLonge's scenario and I'm going, wait a minute. So all of these military guys just suddenly needed Tom DeLonge to make this all happen? You know, it was very obvious to me what this was. It's like, you know, I don't mean this directly to him, but it's the old saying like, oh, that's the useful idiot. You know what I mean? It's like, get the guy that could deliver the message to America. Because if Tom DeLonge tells you we're going to build a spaceship and there's aliens here, that's not that scary. It's kind of funny. If Mad Dog Mattis tells you that, that's scary.
Yeah, it's a totally different situation.
Right.
Did you, well, let me ask you, did you start to develop this theory behind DeLonge and TTSA because you didn't know the background, you didn't know the players that were involved? This was just how you were viewing it.
It's initially how I viewed it, and then I asked Skyfall about it, and Skyfall just said to me, nothing about that is what it appears. You know, so he's kind of like, you're right. You know what I mean? Like, it's so odd, but at the same time, it's so blatantly pieced together. I mean, it's just these guys. The thing was, I knew a lot about Tom DeLonge. I'm a fan. You know, I was a longtime musician. So when I first heard, I had no problem believing that, and I knew he had a very strong interest in this. But the thing is, it's all of those military guys. My father was in the Air Force. Like, I know, and the military reputation is everything. It's how careers are made, is reputation. So for all of those guys to suddenly, all of a sudden, get around him and put him as the head of this thing, they didn't decide to. They were ordered to. Like, it's like of intelligence, you don't ever really retire. Okay, like, you know everything that's going on. So to me, it appeared like they were all ordered to find the voice. And you've seen this a lot lately. There's a lot of talk, and I believe there's something to this. Look, the new Top Gun that's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
They've already showed little splits and scenes at the end where Maverick is in the Aurora and he's testing out Space Force gear at the end of it. Then they just announced what? They just announced Tom Cruise is going to the space station to film a movie. Elon's working with him to get him up. Okay, you got an actor that's leading the way with, a musician, entertainer, and Tom DeLonge. We had a performer, TV personality, and Donald Trump. That's at the same time this is all going on. Now, Tom Cruise, his biggest films that are coming out are going to be all about the Space Force and selling that to us. Is this all a coincidence? You know, this is stuff that I did start totally piecing together. And when I asked Skyfall, he was just like, you're starting to see how this works. You know, the public, when they want to sell something, they choose somebody you'll trust, obviously.
Now, I wanted to, exactly. Now, let me ask you this. When you first saw the 3 videos from the Pentagon, you know, Gimbal, Go Fast, and Tic Tac, did they have an ET feel to you? What were you seeing?
I thought they were intentionally vague. So if you don't know and you go, well, what am I seeing here? I thought that's what they were. We'll tell you what you're seeing.
That's interesting. There's
nothing about those videos that are acutely alien. There's nothing about those videos that are barely even interesting. they're very, you know what I mean? Like, I don't see anything on there that's like, oh my God, look at that alien technology. You know, we don't see a Tic Tac go from 80,000 feet to a few feet above the water in a second. We don't see that. We see something kind of go off the side of the screen and they go, look at the speed. It's like a bullet. No, not on screen. It's not. I don't know what you're talking about, you know? And so I felt like those things were, I felt like they were probably something either that they didn't know at one point and they figured it out, or they were just plants. It was just, it's just, because I don't understand how, like, if you or I see something and take a great photo of it, or even give a great report of it, it's really easy to just go, oh well, he's not a trained observer. He's this. But these guys in a plane can look at, grainy video, and when you don't know what it is, whatever they say back to you, we're just supposed to accept because, hey, I was a pilot. Well, that doesn't mean anything to me, because anybody who has eyes can look at the sky and say, does that, look like something that defies physics or not? Because they keep saying all those videos, this defies physics. What defies physics in those videos? There's nothing that I see that overtly says to me they defy physics. Now, have I ever, been behind, in a plane, and do I know how to read all that stuff? No, I don't. But it's hard for me to accept it at face value because Fravor was a pilot. Maybe he was, and maybe that stuff is really interesting. But there's other things about it that don't make any sense. Like in the one video that comes on, he says, look at them. There's a whole fleet of them. Where?
Right.
No one thought to film the fleet? Like, show me the fleet, man. Like that, like, you know what I mean? So, and once again, what I did find the most interesting about those videos, and again, this is just part of I always go to the debunking mindset first. That's just who I am. But what I did find conspiratorial about those videos is that they all three came out. Again, people were sitting around in the Pentagon deciding to bring these out. They decided to. Why? Why is the question. And there were other weird things they were doing. In the middle of a pandemic, the CIA's Twitter is tweeting out links to UFO cases and telling people to study up on them and how to report them and all this stuff. It's like, why? This is what the CIA was doing today? Somebody was sitting around saying, we got to get the public to really focus on these UFOs. And then Trump let it slip that there was something odd about and unique about Roswell. And, then interviews the keys, like, there's something, it's a unique place. It's an interesting place, Now, could Trump be doing that because he loves to stir it up? Sure. But there has been an ungodly amount of UFO information that has came directly from our government in the last year.
Yeah, no question about it. And I'll tell you, here's the irony, the slip up of the Trump comment. Trump was actually talking about Area 51, because that was the Area 51 raid, and everybody, there's 2 million people. That's what Trump was referring to, but he didn't say Area 51. The slip up was he said Roswell.
Yeah.
Right when it was everybody was talking about Area 51, and that's the interesting place, but that's not what he said. The slip up was Roswell. And for me, I enjoyed that. Yes.
In that interview, he also says there are millions of people that want to see it.
Right. He's talking about Area 51. Right. He's talking about Area 51. The slip up was he knows about Roswell. And that's what he was thinking about. The subject was Area 51. I love it. Right. That was the irony of that whole thing. And that was a slip up. A lot of people missed actually what was going on there. So why the publicity? You just said that. The question is why. We know the videos are out. We know the pilots and the crew members of the Roosevelt and the other carrier flight group are out there talking about this. But what's the reason why? So as you looked at this, what do you think is going on? Was it because of Skyfall and what Skyfall was saying, or were you starting to put the pieces together yourself?
It was both, because he really opened me up to that world, and I was so fascinated by how accurate he has been with all of his predictions. It just sent me on a road. What I think now, if I could guess, and my opinion is largely formed by the fact that we were getting close to something, and as you guys will see in Phantom Rider, real things to scare us started happening and are still going on, especially with Craig. But what I think is going on is I think we've gotten to a point now, they can't hide it anymore. It's being filmed everywhere. I mean, there's so much footage of bizarre things out there. It just can't be hid anymore. I think we're moving into that space-faring. Look, man, we're going to Mars again. We're like, all this stuff's going on simultaneously. The Space Force obviously needs to be something. I do think. Now, I don't know if they're here or if they're coming, but I think anybody with a degree of intelligence would probably assume we're not alone, that the universe is far too big. I believe personally, well, I don't know. Look, I don't know if they're here or they're not, but either they're here and that announcement's going to be made, or something's coming and they want us to stop being Americans, Europeans, but Earthlings. The first thing Tom DeLonge did, right after those videos came out, DeLonge put out a tweet. The first thing he did was put out a tweet about how much money we can save if we became a one world nation and we, combined our militaries, and think of the trillions of dollars that could be spent on education. So first thing he did was put out the New World Order tweet. Now, he deleted it too. He deleted it because people started going nuts on him and going, well, if we do that, we'd have to tear the Constitution up. And we don't want to do that, But I do think something is coming down the pipe. I think something's definitely coming down the pipe. And this is one of those kind of, when something bad's going to happen, the government or large, corporations, they try to get out in front of it. I think that's what's going now. I think there's a big, let's get out in front of it and let's control the narrative and let's, try to get us to see ourselves as Earthlings, in this, spacefaring world that we're moving into versus, individuals in different countries. And this is not a new concept. Every leader since the beginning of time has wanted a one world order. They've always wanted one leader to run the planet. That has been going on forever, from Genghis Khan to Alexander the Great to Caesar, like you name it, to Putin, to all the way to the top. They've wanted this. But that's why once I kind of swallowed the whole concept of the fake alien invasion, I started thinking exactly that Skyfall made a lot of sense in the sense that you would want a fake alien invasion to set the narrative so when a real invasion comes, you don't know the difference. You know what I mean? They're just bad guys to you now. And our government's always done that. When we don't know something, or if we don't want, America or Americans to get involved, we make them bad guys, And I think there's part of that that's going on right now.
Well, when we talk about fake alien invasion, I mean, there's a couple of ways to approach this. One, like a Project Bluebeam, holograms projected in the sky, but that could only last for so long because anybody with a gun that's going to start shooting at these things, the bullets are going to pass straight through it, and it would take a nanosecond to figure out that these are projections going on in the sky. Right?
You got to have a ship and you got to have actual aliens.
Right. So that would go on to phase 2, a fake alien invasion with actual craft. Is this part of the Pentagon's message right now? Are they developing craft that are physical that would be used for a fake alien invasion?
Yeah, I would think they would have to. I would think if you're going to go far enough to create, fake drone alien grays, of course you have to have the craft too. I think
something that would convince a pilot like Dave Fravor, because now he's seeing a physical craft, it's being followed on radar.
Yeah.
Then you have that testimony coming in from pilots because they're not seeing a hologram, right? It's being picked up on radar. So that is part of the narrative.
You know what's so weird, too, about Fravor's story? None of it makes sense. Like, he said, I'm sure you probably heard this. Has he been on the show before, Fravor?
No.
Okay.
I don't think Dave Fravor would ever want to be on Fade to Black. I got a lot of respect for that guy. Going back to the original interviews that were on, the pilot's website, going back years ago, done by Paco, and reading those, I've got great respect, for Dave Fravor,
Well, look, anybody who's, like I said, my dad's in the Air Force. So anybody, to me, I have great respect for anybody who serves, period.
That's right.
So, but they're thinking about a story that made no sense to me. He said that for weeks they were painting these things on the radar, and they were out there, and they just never went and saw them. And he said, we never looked at them like they were an enemy. And I'm like, huh? What are you talking about? So for weeks, you were painting all kinds of objects going from 80,000 feet down to, an inch above the water and sustaining for 12 hours. And nobody said go out there and see what that was. And then the other ones that were like squares inside of the circles that were flying past them, like nobody, like if this is all real, and I do have a tendency to believe these pilots as far as what they're seeing, there's massive gaps in the story. And if they weren't sending them out to fight them, or at least to see if they were a threat, that leads me to believe they're ours. They're ours. So there is a time in Two-Face the Gray where, Skyfall sends me and he says, listen, here's the blueprints to the Tic Tac. This thing, this was the Navy's long ago. This thing was already, patented. And so that suddenly all kinds of stuff started making sense to me, that we're constructing our own vehicles. And Tom DeLonge, if you remember his live event thing that he did, that was the purpose of the whole thing, was to say, we want to build this UFO. That's what we want to do.
Anti-gravity, save money for the public. We're going to bring this to you.
Yes, that's what, so I think, I think we probably cracked that code. And I think that once, if you think about the world kind of has to go together at this, because you can't have, the U.S. telling stories of UFOs and aliens and invasions and all this stuff if the rest of the countries aren't involved with it. Because could you imagine Putin going along with that if he wasn't involved with it? We're going, there's UFOs up there, there's fake this. They'd be laughing at us if that, So it has to be a global movement. That's the thing on the scale of this. It becomes so large that it almost seems so impossible. But, 2020 has been a crazy year when it comes to conspiracy theories in general. Because I remember a decade ago hearing about crazy Epstein and his planes and Clinton being on the plane and going, this is insane. Then you find out, oh, yeah, no, it's all real. It's all been happening. And it's the same thing like when you first heard that Hitler didn't die and he went down to South America and you're like, this is crazy. And then the files come out, the JFK files, and you find out, no, they were hunting him for years down there. And he escaped on a submarine. It's like, when am I going to hear a conspiracy that in the end isn't proven true?
Right.
It's like they're all true, So, I don't know that I can know for sure, what's coming. I know that Craig and I touched a nerve of something that people definitely want us out of, for sure. And what Phantom Rider really takes the audience close to what that is that we've been going through, and you kind of get to see a place and time of where we're at. And, it is really scary, man, because like with all my films, man, I don't fake anything, period, nothing. And, when you watch this film, guys, just imagine waking up to this type of stuff going on around you. There was definitely a controlled effort to get us away. And I think that's because they want to tell the narrative. It's for the same reason of when you release those videos, you say, what do you think of those 3 UFO videos? I think they're so grainy and so eventful that I have to ask, what am I seeing? And I think that's intentional, so they can tell you the narrative.
Now, let me ask you this. I got to head to a break here in 45 seconds. Daniel David Skyfall is probably listening to this broadcast right now.
Yes.
Would you be okay with him coming on Fade to Black?
100%. I've urged him since the beginning to come forward. He has a family. He's afraid of his family being in trouble. We've been back and forth many times. Daniel, if you're listening, you know how I feel, man. Give Jimmy a call.
Yeah, this is the spot. This is the spot. I I would really enjoy having an opportunity to engage and have a conversation with him for this audience. You know, they've heard so much and they've seen the films, right?
Yes.
But taking this to the next level would be really cool. We got to take a break right here. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What an incredible show tonight. Chad Calek, the new film, Phantom Rider. More about the film when we come back after this short break. Stay with us.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Do you want to be an official Fadernaut? Of course you do. This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Just go to our membership section at jimmychurchradio.com.
So, you love talk radio? Then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
You listen to us, and we listen to you. And so does the CIA. KGRARadio.com.
Telepath is a weekly digital newsletter filled with the latest paranormal news, trending topics, and fresh articles from some of the most popular critical thinkers in the community today. Stay informed on your favorite paranormal podcasts and live streaming talk shows. Interact with the Telepath and upload your paranormal story or pics. It could be featured in an upcoming edition. Sign up right now for the free Telepath newsletter at paranormal.radio. That's paranormal.radio.
Including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Chad Calek. I want to remind everybody what is going on this week. Tomorrow night, Steve LaPlume is here talking about his new book about the second incident at Rendlesham. That's tomorrow night. And then Wednesday night, Scott Wolter's going to be here talking about The Secret Life of Albert Pike. Tonight, we're talking about Chad's new film. It is called Phantom Rider. Full release tomorrow. And you can go, it's on all the digital platforms. I saw it on Amazon pop up. Now, actually, it was SIR NOFACE Part 2 is what I saw pop up on Amazon. And tomorrow night is Phantom Rider. Now, I don't want to, excuse me. Wow, cough came out of nowhere. That's why I have a cough button, Chad. I don't want to give away any spoilers, but I do want to talk about a couple of specific moments in the film. And one of them, we touched upon this earlier, the fake alien invasion. And the way that Skyfall presents it to you, and it's a very interesting take, that the Tic Tac specifically is part of this plan. And as you're starting to, the film goes into this in depth, and everybody can go and check it out. But for you, did that like add up? Did 2 and 2 equal 4?
Well, it did in the sense that the Navy would be controlling this and they would know what it is. And that's when I look at it either close up or from a distance. Again, when the idea that the Pentagon would just release footage to America and say, here's 3 videos over the course of this long span of time, essentially in which you weren't safe, America, because we don't know what this stuff is, and it defies physics, and it blows all of our machinery out of the water, and we had no clue what it was. Why would you ever put that out there? Why would you ever put that out there? To me, the only reason they would put it out there is if there wasn't a real risk of that footage, whatever that's in that footage, that they know what it is. I also got to thinking after hearing this, I kind of came up with my own after listening to Fravors interviews. I was thinking, well, if they weren't being told to go investigate these things as they were coming down for like the first 2 weeks, then that led me to believe that it was our militaries too, that they had new stuff they were just trying out, and they wanted to see in a real world situation how that stuff would work. And that's why,
well, let me jump in. So what you're suggesting then is whether it is NASA or Lockheed or whoever has this technology, right, that the powers, the generals and the captains and the admirals that are involved here, when I say generals, talking about all aspects of the Department of Defense, they knew what was being tested, but the crew members and the pilots had no idea.
Right, on purpose to generate a real world scenario, right? To really get their reactions. How well can this technology really work? And the only way to find that out is obviously to send a pilot out that doesn't know what he's looking at, because the enemy would respond the same way if they don't know what it is. Because it's hard for me to believe that right now, if off the coast of LA, if 20 objects just appeared and came down, that we wouldn't be all over it and shooting it. The last time an object came off the coast of LA, we know what happened.
Yep.
The Battle of Los Angeles.
That's right.
We lit it up and hit it with everything we had. So it doesn't make any sense to me. That led me to believe, okay, we own this stuff. Like, we either know what it is, and we cracked some, we cracked the code of physics on how to do anti-gravity, and they were testing it out. That made me believe that. Or look, I mean, if you want to go far on the alien aspect of it, it could be, if in fact the government is working directly with alien kind, as been suggested by people like Paul Hellyer, if that is in fact the case, then it could have been just a demonstration to us by an alien race of what their technology can do. I don't know. I don't think any of us are in a position to actually get that answer. But it made a lot of sense to me when Skyfall said, "Listen, aliens are real and like all this stuff's real, but like this isn't. This is a story that's being placated and laid out for everybody. Here's the proof. Here's the Navy. Here's the letter from the Navy saying, and explaining to the patent, officer." Yes, this is real. We have a working model of this. We need this before the Chinese can get it. That made sense to me.
Well, yes, and I'll tell you the other interesting part. If it's only the United States Navy that has been dealing with the Tic Tac. No word from the Russians, if it's aliens, right? No activity off of the Russian coast with Russian battle groups. Nothing from the Chinese, nothing from the Australians, nothing from the Japanese, the Israelis, the United Kingdom. It's only been the United States Navy reporting these incidents. And so if it's ET, why would it just be isolated to the United States? Why isn't this a global situation?
Well, here's another one, too. There's been a few governments to release stuff, but where are they all at? Mexico, Brazil, all by us, all by America, South America, the Brazilian government,
Argentina, Chile.
Argentina, right. Our neighbors. You know, they're reporting stuff over the same ocean we all fly, right? So it seems to me that yes, we have a big hand in a lot of this. But I do have a tendency to believe that's because legitimate life forms have been here. I have seen footage of things that I do believe to be like, look, man, that's not a human craft. That's like, the real deal stuff. But it's not even just in that world. Even in the world of cosmology and scientists. I mean, remember when we grew up and we just thought there was 9 planets?
Right.
Now they're saying, oh, we found 13 more over here and 7 are in the Goldilocks zone where life could live on it, And this is all happening at the time where we've got, our crosshairs on Mars and we're going there. I just saw this other video. Oh, there's life in the clouds in Venus, and just like this stuff is going on across the board. Everybody is preparing us for the fact there is life. There is life out there. And I think the Tom DeLonge thing, was a big preparation tactic to see where is the meter on this. I think that would have to happen no matter what. And I'll tell you something else that I felt from my profession as a filmmaker and as somebody who's directed 40 outside of my paranormal stuff. I've done 40 music videos, a dozen commercials. I can tell you when somebody has had like media training. Okay. Oh gosh, what is his name? He's on Tom's show. The main guy that worked for ATIP.
Luis Elizondo.
Luis Elizondo has had media training. I would put money that guy is an actor. I'm just telling you, he appears to be an actor. He is so slick on camera. And when you work in my world, you realize that 99.99% of people are incredibly uncomfortable on camera. It does not work well. That's why people that are comfortable get paid billions of dollars to go out and do what they do. He appears to have a ton of media training. Either that or he's just incredibly charismatic for the position that he was in the military, which is known for having not very charismatic people. You'd love to believe that everybody's Lee Ermey. They're not. Okay, they're not. And when I saw him on, it was one of the first things I said to my producer partner. I said, man, this guy's an actor. I'm telling you. And then I saw an article came out of someone that said, yeah, there was all kinds of stuff about his history that didn't add up. That they were saying that he never actually worked directly in the position that he said he worked in. This story just came out. And I was like, I don't know if that's true or not. And if he worked for the military, I don't want to even begin to discredit him about his past service. But I'm telling you, at some point, somebody gave him some media training. He's too good. He's too slick. He's too good.
Now let's
watch him versus David Fravor. Watch him versus Fravor. Fravor is very comfortable and kind of stiff, and didn't watch Lou Elizondo. There's a massive difference.
Yes, there is. And there's another aspect to Phantom Rider. And that is the obvious interference into your personal life and of course, to Craig's too as well. Has that slowed down? Well, okay, let me ask you this. You can answer that question, of course. When did you do the final rendering? What was the date on that? When did you deliver?
That was last, it would have been...
Okay, everybody, I'm going to let you know the noise you hear in the background is not the NSA.
Dog.
Yeah, it is.
Sorry.
It's Chad's dog. No, Chad's dog is partying in the background. It's pretty funny.
No. It was last February. It was early February is when I finished that up.
Of 2020.
Yes.
Okay, so now you've got, we're in the 11th month. So 10 months have gone by. Has the interference slowed down?
Well, yes and no. No in the sense, yes in the sense that I just haven't left my house, and I've been fairly inactive because of COVID and everything. But there has been really bizarre things that went on that I don't know how I feel about it yet. As you saw, if you watched the film, I lost my father at the end of the film, and his passing, he just went from being completely healthy to gone 6 months later, and the doctors had no idea what happened to him. They said his reason of passing was something called malignant catatonia, which is he just rapidly lost his mind. And it was the hardest, most difficult thing that I've ever been through. And when I say no, nothing's happened, it's because he was my focus. I just didn't let the world just didn't get in, like he was my focus. And it was very difficult on my family and my brother and my aunt. And so for me, it was just a time period where I just put up a wall and didn't notice much because I wasn't looking. When you focus on one thing, you focus on it. Now with Craig, I can tell you everything has continued, and it has slowed down to a degree, but he still gets. He had his computer completely hacked, just like mine was. He actually got warning messages on his computer. They're not in this film, but there's other things that will be. There will be one more film that's a follow to this to wrap it all up. At least I hope it's only just one more. But it's going to include some things that have been really interesting to happen. For example, he got. Remember when I told you I thought there was a third party involved in this for sure that wasn't government?
Right.
He got a request, a Freedom of Information request, serviced to him by the Australian government, and they won't tell him who it's from, but they can tell him that it's not from the United States, and it's not from them. And what they wanted is they wanted to see if the request was any information that he had shared or displayed to the Australian government. Well, Craig thinks that's the footage he has. He has over 100 hours of additional footage that he hasn't gone through yet from Cockatoo Island, that he has in a safe place where it's hidden and multiple people have copies of it to make sure. And he believes there's more on there. I mean, we know of another entity called Minnie, and there is footage of her singing. She would sing whenever you would turn on the radio, like white static. She would start singing. If you'd play a guitar and you'd start singing a song, she would start harmonizing. And I've seen the footage. I've seen it, man. I mean, it's mind-blowing. Craig has a lot of additional footage there, and he doesn't want to give it up, and I understand why. And so there's other stuff I should not let out because there's going to be, like I said, a fourth film. But things have continued. But I'll tell you what, every time I put out a film, it's like, man, I almost dread it because there is definitely always an increase, like right after that, almost like a punishment, of putting stuff out around this project.
Well, what about the Men in Black and the cars following you, and certainly computer and phone interference? Has that slowed down, or is that continuing?
With me, I've not seen anyone follow me because I barely drove anywhere, and when I haven't seen anything. Stuff with my computer is nonstop. It's always weird stuff going on. A week ago, my phone was hacked where all of my passwords were changed on everything that I have, and there's a couple passwords or a couple programs I have where you change the password, it'll tell you what the old one was, and it's stuff I would never choose. That's consistently happening. I know that, like I said, that recently happened to Craig. He also had warnings. His children were threatened. Warnings that they know where they get picked up from school. Craig said she was still being followed as well. And you'll see at the end of the film. I suppose it's not the big giveaway, but there's a really scary moment there, and I'm really glad that Craig's children finally speak. His oldest son, because they were just very nervous, obviously, about putting them on film. But his oldest son, witnessed an experience where they all went to bed in the house, and it was locked, and then his son woke up to Craig outside, knocking on the door, freezing. In which, Craig went to sleep and woke up in a field, like, half a mile down the road.
Well, something weird happened to me today. I didn't tell you about this, but I have a lot of computers. You can see my studio. You're looking at it here. Craig and I, or Chad and I, Craig, Chad and I, Craig's in Australia. Chad and I can see each other on video. But I have a very serious system here, and with protocols in place, and one of them, I use Virtual Shield amongst other things. Today, watching your film, catching up on the last part of the film today, I got a virus attack, which never happens.
Really?
And had to do a cleanse and a reboot, but I got nervous there for a second, which never happens. I mean, years. We run very serious things here, but it all got fixed. But it was just kind of weird that I'm watching Phantom Rider and dealing with the issues that you're dealing with in the film, and then that happened to me today. And look, coincidence, probably. But it was very interesting for me to go through that.
It's super scary. Like, look, there you can see in the film too, I talk about like our banking records got hacked. Like there are people in Brazil that were charges being made. Like just every aspect of my life, which you see kind of come together in this film, was going haywire, and you're not the first person to message me and say, hey man, like, what are you sending me? Like, and I watched your film, and my film's jacked now. And I was like, yeah, it's not. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's the thing. I think these three films, now that I'm almost 5 years of my life in this story, when I sit back and I look at it, it's one of the best documented examples that this harassment stuff is real. And how many books have been written about this?
Tons.
How many people have talked about this? And it does. I'm the first person to say it sounds crazy. And you've probably seen it with me in us talking about the UFO. I naturally side towards the debunker. That's just my natural. So all three of these films are such a real example of what happens when you get too close to something. And look, all these agencies, like, what do you think they do? Like in the Pentagon, they sit around and protect information. That's what they do, And that's what I kind of realized with this is we're somewhere we don't know, but we don't belong.
Well, do you feel that, and Chad, this is the obvious question, but do you feel that you got too close, too much was exposed to you, and these are messages for you to back off? And are you one to back off because of these incidents?
And that question is the best question that could be asked. And the only reason I'm not going to answer it right now is because it's posed at the end of the question. That question comes up at the end of Phantom Rider. And it's something I know where my ejection seat is. I'm not there yet, but I know where it is. And I can tell you this, I don't want to be a martyr. I don't want to die. None of this stuff is worth it. I talk about the gentleman, I guess I forget his name, in the film who they found he had the black fluid leaking out of his mouth.
Oh, yeah, from Europe. Right,
yeah.
Right.
I'm not that guy, man. You know what I mean? I'm not even a ufologist. It's like and you hear me talking with Justin and Two-Face the Gray about that, where he was just like, how far do you go? I don't want to be a martyr in any capacity whatsoever. I absolutely want to take the camera where it doesn't go. I want to tell the stories that need to be told. I want to show if this stuff is real. but I don't want to die for any of this. And none of it's worth dying for, as far as I'm concerned. But there are some unanswered questions still.
Have you seen a UFO?
I believe I have. I filmed it. My answer is yes. But oddly enough, when I moved out here, I was back when I was doing directing music videos. I was up in Topanga Canyon, and it was just the middle of the day. There was not a cloud in the sky, and we're just filming. And I just happened to look up, and I see this white thing, and it almost looks like it's super long, and it's like a hanger, like it's bent, and it's making these almost boomeranging rotations with it, massively flying across at an ungodly rate, fast as can be. In which I stop and I tell the entire crew, I'm like, "Yo, film that! What is that?" And we all look out over "What is that?" And none of us can make out what it is. It takes off fast as can be towards Catalina Island, and then it just vanishes. Oddly enough, toward Catalina Island, this is where David Fravor had his. This has all happened out there. This is before I knew any of that. This is it's been 2002 or 3. Filmed it, went online to look, and found that there are places all over the world where this specific craft has been seen and filmed before as a UFO. What was really weird about it is when we saw it, we all had this weird feeling like we shouldn't look at it. It wasn't a physical sensation. It was a weird feeling that we all had, that we were meant to look away. It was weird. That's the best way I can describe it. It was a weird feeling we all had. But that was the only time that and later on, there ended up being on the news. They didn't have footage of it, but they did mention that day that there were other people that saw this thing and called it in. But it was not up close. It was out over the ocean. But like I said, I filmed it. So, I definitely have had that. Outside of that, the only other time I saw anything weird in the sky was back. The reason I remember this is because I was a huge baseball fan. Remember the World Series in San Francisco when they had the earthquake?
Yep.
That night, I was into ninjutsu, believe it or not. It was like this martial arts. And I was driving there, and we saw these crazy red and blue lights. They were like balls of light that were going through the clouds. It looked like UFOs. But the news said that it was ball lightning that happens when there's
earthquakes. Yeah.
So it could have been. That was good enough for me. I was like, okay. But the thing over the ocean that I filmed, no, that was not normal. Yeah, that was crazy.
I would love to see that footage. And we're going to take a break right here, and we'll come back and continue. I want to remind everybody, talking about computer security, and what is important is a virtual shield. Last year, websites shared over 100 trillion pieces of personal data. This data is taken on users on various websites, just like the one that you are on right now watching me. Think about that. Now, I don't like being spied on by advertisers. I don't like being spied on by anybody, which is why I use Virtual Shield. All right, so right now, Virtual Shield continues to offer loyal customers like you a whopping 50% off all plans for life. Okay, if you want to browse the internet anonymously and securely like I do, please visit virtualshield.com/fade to black. You can do that. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com, or you can click on the link in the video description box below. Right there, right now, and you can get Virtual Shield VPN for free today. Go and check it out. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Going to take a quick break. We'll be right back more with Chad Calek discussing his new film, Phantom Rider. It's releasing worldwide tomorrow. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Stay with us. We'll be right back after this short break.
Hi everybody, this is Rob Halford, the Metal Guard on JimmyChurchRadio.com.
This is KGRA Digital Broadcasting Station. Salt Lake City, Utah. Van Buren, Arkansas.
Why is it we're not very good with our health regimen until it's too late. We don't put oil in the car until the engine blows up. When the body's out of balance, your health is not so good. Give your body some love. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. Try our Life Change Tea, which cleanses you from harmful intruders. A clean colon is one of the ways to bring the body in balance. We also carry organic supplements to help you get where you need to go. So do your body a favor. Log on to GetTheT.com. That's GetTheT.com. You can even visit our sales page to save some dough. Does anybody call money dough anymore? Anyway, if you're looking for short, helpful health tips, go to YouTube and punch in Health Matters Now. That's Health Matters Now. So, log on to GetTheT.com, shop, get balanced, then learn some cool tips at Health Matters Now. You'll be glad you did. That's GetTheT.com.
Your contact for current news and trending topics. KGRARadio.com.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I only drink Fade to Black blend coffee from River Moon. Just click on the River Moon Coffee banner at jimmychurchradio.com. Promo code F2B Blend. Let's face it, you've always wanted to do a sky watch and see your first UFO. Today, it's easy. Just get your own HP7 3B Cobalt Jimmy Church Edition night vision goggles from Hoffman's Optics. This is the same U.S. military system that I use, featuring a Generation 3 blue phosphor image tube. That's right, it's blue, not black and green. This is the only blue system in the world, and it's waterproof, lightweight, combat-proof, simple to use, and ready to go. Hoffman's Optics helped create night vision sky watches, and now you can see what everyone has been talking about each night from your own backyard. Just call 760-231-9929. That's 760-231-9929. You can click on the banners on our site or visit UFONightVisionGoggles.com. That's UFONightVisionGoggles.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
This is the only way forward.
This is Fade to Black. Make contact. KGRARadio.com.
Listen, I know, and you know, that you've always wanted your first crystal skull. Or maybe you're a collector just like me, but you just don't know where to go to find the real thing. Then I met Carolyn Ford over at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com. Carolyn is the guardian of Einstein, one of the most respected ancient crystal skulls in the world. All of her unique skulls have been imprinted sitting with Einstein in his sacred lodge and are carved from the finest gemstone and materials. Imprinting is the process of receiving the ancient wisdom from the master skull or master computer. Einstein, the ancient crystal skull. To see Carolyn's current collection of crystal skulls, just visit her store at EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com or click on the banner over on our site. Don't forget to use the promo code Jimmy at checkout to receive 10% off of your order today. That's promo code Jimmy. Finding your first or next crystal skull is easy. Just visit EinsteinTheCrystalSkull.com.
Telepath is a weekly digital newsletter filled with the latest paranormal news, trending topics, and fresh articles from some of the most popular critical thinkers in the community today. Stay informed on your favorite paranormal podcasts and live streaming talk shows. Interact with the Telepath and upload your paranormal story or pics. It could be featured in an upcoming edition. Sign up right now for the free Telepath newsletter at paranormal.radio. That's paranormal.radio.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Our guest tonight, Chad Calek. We are talking about his new film, and it's called Phantom Rider. It releases tomorrow. You can go and check it out. I've seen it. It's absolutely incredible. And there are more than one pretty emotional moments in the film. But putting that aside, I want to talk about the music for a second. Tora Tora? Really?
That's old school.
man. How did that happen?
Oh, just the song, the lyrics really kind of just spoke to me. I'm a big, on your iTunes, I don't know if it doesn't have iTunes or not, but you can put it on where it just plays a mix and mash of everything that's in your, I got 700 albums or whatever. I'm a musician as well too. And I just had it on mix one day, and as I was editing, this Tora Tora song came on, and the whole, count the lines, you've seen it and pass you by, and, witness the pain they leave behind, and just all the lyrics to it just really spoke to me about this journey that we have been on, and this Phantom Rider, somewhere, there's this thread of this person that we don't know who it is, this thing, this Phantom Rider that is always seems to be behind us, but we can't see him, right? I don't know who hacked my computer. I just texted Craig and asked him, when's the last time anything happened with you? He just wrote me back, Nikki was followed late last night, blacked out car, driveway at 4:30 a.m. this morning.
Wow.
There's the Phantom Rider. Who is it? We don't know. You know what I mean? And it really just spoke to me of what this whole process is like, of always feeling like there's someone right behind you, but you don't know who it is. And how unnerving that is to not know the person that has this ability to reach out and touch you whenever they want to.
Now, does Tora Tora know that they're part of the soundtrack?
Yeah, well, we did our publishing deal to get their rights to their song.
Right.
I don't know if they personally know or not, but yeah, you do the publishers through the publishing.
They're such a great band. I think they're out of Memphis, and great band. But that's the other part of the movie that I want to talk about is the soundtrack and how that is laid out and how that involves emotion too as well. It's a very critical part of the way that you put this together. All of that is done with intention, I would assume.
100%. And thank you for pointing that out. I think people who have, it's a consistent compliment that I get with my work since AGH, you know what I mean? So it's music to me, it's that universal language. And I don't care who you are around the world. It's one of the only things in the world that can make you smile, can make you cry, can make you physically feel like you were at a place when you heard that song. And I've always viewed it as not folly, but a voice, but another, narration going on at that time. Because in my life, there's a lot of times as a singer and a songwriter and a musician, and just as a person, what I may lack the words when I'm speaking, for some reason, they're perfectly spoken in song. And, there's a song at the end of it, that's a tribute to my father. And when I'm asking that kind of question, are you going to be a martyr for this? Is this what you're going to you're going to give your life up for this, And I've just always felt like music is so very important. It's just so very important. And it's with definite intention. And a lot of the other music that's in there, there's a lot of great musical services that you can buy bits and pieces of music to work with it. And I spend a lot of time on those sites finding the right thing. And there's a degree of that music that I wrote that's in there, that I played and performed. And that's usually my go-to, like when I have something that's very point specific that I want to drive home, usually I wind up writing and recording it.
Now, there's another aspect to this, and I point this out a lot because I live in Hollywood. I live in Burbank. Everybody here is part of the film industry. Everybody's a friggin' critic. Here in California, when you go to the movies, you go to the theater, anywhere else in the country, the film ends, everybody gets up and leaves. Not Not in Los Angeles. People sit and to the end of the credits, and you'll see people pointing out their names, the credits, and that's what we do here. We appreciate production and cinematography, and whenever I have a filmmaker on the show, I do talk about their approach to editing and cinematography. You took things to a whole nother level, even for you, because in past productions, it's always excelled. This has definitely been taken to a new level. Is it because you had more time on your hands, or was this film more important to you, including the animation that is pretty cool too as well?
Yeah, I think the animation was a natural progression. I've been working really hard on my animation skills. That's usually the one thing, if we need it in the past, if we needed it, because I'm not an animator, which I mean, I've become one now. That's one of the things that we would reach out for, somebody else to do. And it was just something that I've really been working hard on to understand the software. And I've gotten to a point now where I do feel as though I'm at a professional level with animation now. And it was just another tool to tell the story. But with this, I really wanted it to mirror our lives at the time, where there's a tempo to this film when you watch it, and it feels like at times you're almost running, and then at times it feels like at the very end it feels like you're stopping and you're really in deep thought, down to the moment where you see me having a cigarette when I'm in deep thought kind of about what I do from here, and there's not a word that's said, and it goes to a black and white. But there's probably more said in those 30 seconds than anything else in the film.
That's right.
Well, I mean?
There is, for somebody that's going to watch this, is certainly from the UFO background, there is all of the facts and the things and the investigation and not only things to listen to, but things to look at in the film. You get that. But it's more about your journey. Yeah. That's what is happening here. This is probably the most personal film you've ever made, including AGH, going back to a film that was directly about you and your family.
Well, the camera, look, man, it's in my house. I mean, you're hearing my wife's voice when I open the door, and you'll see there's something that went on outside here over and over again, and she's too terrified to go, and she's like, listen, you go first. I'm not doing this. You know what I mean? Like, you're seeing those real moments of what that's like. And in all of my films, what I always think is more fascinating than anything as far as paranormal is the human story and the human side to it. That's what makes these things matter. What do they do to our lives?
Well, let me ask you about your wife for a second, because I think unintentionally she becomes a part of the focus of the film a couple of times.
Yeah.
Is she okay with that?
Yeah, I mean, she's okay with it, because I mean, her thing has always been, she's always actually tried to avoid my work, but she also understands the importance of honesty. This happened, and she would never stop me, from, if it's real and it happened, she would never say don't show it. Because my films are personal. They do have a tendency to throw people in them at times that aren't even really realized that they were in them,
let me jump in, because, again, there's no spoilers going on here, but there is a moment in the film, not getting into the details, but you and your wife get into a fight.
Yeah.
And if this was my film, and that sort of personal exposure would be there for Rita and I, there is no way that she would have that part of our personal lives out there in the public. It would not happen. I would even ask Rita if it would be okay. It's something that stays inside of the house. You chose to have that very personal moment out there. Did she fight you on that, or was she okay?
No, you know what? We were both sad. It sucks. It sucks because I am her biggest fan. I love that girl. Like, I don't know any other girl on this earth that would put up with me and and what I've drug her through over the last 25 years that we've been together. Listening to us, and what's funny is that argument, we were arguing about, I wanted to spend time with her on this day, and we got our schedules backwards, and I couldn't. So I was now upset, and I was being a baby, and I was pissed. And it was because I wanted to be with her, though. I wanted to spend time with her, you know? And we talked about it, and I said to her, you know, what's important in this scene is we're showing that my phone, again, someone had complete control of it. And where it was located was across the room, and someone turned on the wave recorder remotely. So you can hear the distance between where she's at and where I'm in the recording. And what I was showing is that this was happening, that this was really happening. And after we had gotten in that fight, when I walked back over and I saw it and I sat down, I was like, what? Oh my God. Like, I was like, is somebody remotely controlling my phone for a reason? Are they recording this to try to like use it against me or something? Or like, I didn't know. You don't know why this stuff happens. And it'll send you, like I said, down a rabbit hole. But when it was done, I was like, look, it's really important to me that I show that this stuff is really happening. And I said, the content of it to me, I can stand behind that. I've never, ever, ever tried to be anything that I'm not, you know? I mean, like anybody else in the world, I have great parts of my personality and I have difficult parts of my personality. And at the end of the day, we both felt like, if she felt like too, if you need to show this to show what's going on here, then I'm okay with it. Of course it's not comfortable. Of course I wish it wouldn't have happened, but it happened. And I can't ask other people like Craig and the multiple people in my life as a documentarian, I can't grill them about being honest and putting it all on the table if I'm not willing to do so. And that's always one of the most difficult parts about being a documentarian that includes his own life. It all has to be on the same level. I can't treat myself with baby gloves and then roast everyone, you know?
Now, there is a moment, no, I should say, there are moments in this film as things are layered on top of each other as you're going through this journey, that as a viewer of the film, you have to step back and go, he's got to be questioning his own sanity at this point. Oh, yeah. Right?
So many times. I mean, that's, you know, I said to Laura one night, we were talking, I said, do you think anybody that is going crazy really believes they're going crazy? Like, do they know it? Like, because you wouldn't, right?
Right. You wouldn't know. No, it's your reality, right? That's it.
Right. You wouldn't know. That would make you not crazy if you know you're going crazy. And I'm just like, you know, there's times where, yeah, it's been one of the hardest parts of this whole thing. And then when I tell the story in the film, I'm like, does this just seem just fat, you know,
right.
Crazy? Like, right, is someone going to look at this and go, dude, you are a lunatic, you know what I mean? And I'm like, well, am I a lunatic? And then Craig is simultaneously becoming a lunatic? We're both going crazy at the same time? You know, but no, you get to the point where, with me, I was like, okay, well, let me look at all the other aspects of my life. Nope, normal there. So I can't be going crazy about just UFOs and this, you know? So, yeah, it's very hard. It's very hard. But I go back to the same thing. I think no matter what you're doing in life or filmmaking, honesty wins. People could smell it. They could see it. You know when someone's being fake. You know when someone's not. You know, that's why I never spend a lot of time, like, trying to sell anybody on me or what I'm doing or whatever in these films. Like, you can see what's real and what's not. I'm a firm believer of that. You can see when people know they're wrong, or when they know they're right, or when they know they're lying, and so as long as we're being honest, I think that's like the guideline to go on. And thankfully, I'm a freak. I mean, I keep cameras everywhere and constantly filming, so I've been able to capture some of these very difficult things to capture, so people could see, you know, what's going on.
Have you had a chance to take Do you do the normal things like an album production? You know, you get to the end of the album and you're like, man, this is our last one. This is just too much work. You know, but then you take some time off and then you're like, okay, I'm ready for a world tour, right? Is it the same thing with you? Do you allow yourself to take a breath in between films and then, you know, regroup and get your energy back to do the next one? Because it's so much work.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, in 2016, the end of 2016, I put out A Blood Red Sky, then SIR NOFACE, then Two Face the Gray, then Phantom Rider, and I'm finishing up another film called 74 Minutes. I'm going to take a break after this. I mean, I'm about a month away from finishing the other one up, and then I'm going to take a good 6-month break and really just focus on my podcast and hopefully getting back out there doing live events again. I'm a big tourer. You know this. I tour constantly, and no one's been able to do that because of COVID, you know? So I really miss the people that support me. But yeah, I definitely, I am that way in the sense that I get burnt out and I'm like, man, I'm taking off 5 years, blah, you know, but a week later, my mind will start ticking.
How do you I've listened to some of your podcasts, and what I have found interesting, it's almost like, and don't take this the wrong way, okay?
Yeah.
It's two different people.
My podcast is?
Yeah. The person that I'm talking to right now and the approach to the podcast.
Oh.
It's two different people.
The podcast is like ultra personal.
And you're also, how do I say this right? You sound like a smooth radio guy. I mean, it is because I know you personally. I know what your personality's like, and right now this conversation is Chad Calek, and then you listen to the podcast. It's great, but it's like, do you approach it differently?
Well, yeah, I'm not talking to anybody. It's a solo podcast. So on my podcast, I mean, I've had Craig on a couple times, but it's a storytelling. It's like Paul Harvey.
Right.
It's like a storytelling podcast. So I'll pick out whatever the subject is that we're talking about, and I'll share my thoughts and feelings on it. And then I'll relate it to a story in my life that basically developed my thoughts and feelings about that topic. So I'm storytelling in the podcast, which is very different than obviously you and I riffing back and forth.
Right. And the your approach to filmmaking and the subject matter is guerrilla. It's gonzo. It's edgy, right?
Yeah.
And it's visuals as well as the stories, but the podcast is pretty smooth.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's, for those of you that don't know, it's called the In a Crowded Room podcast. This week, I started it out just to test the waters to see if anybody wanted or would like the idea of a Paul Harvey type storytelling podcast. So I just started out just on YouTube. So this, I just last week got it signed up for Libsyn, so it's fixing to go out to all the podcasting places here very soon.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, you can go to my YouTube page at youtube.com/AGHChad. And then just subscribe there. There's like 113 episodes of the In a Crowded Room podcast. And like I said, yeah, it's. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad I didn't know you listened to it. That's very cool, man. Because I'm a big fan of yours too, obviously. So that's awesome. But yeah, it's a storyteller's podcast. If you can remember Paul Harvey back in the day, who told these one of the best storytellers ever, Paul Harvey, who would just leave us on the edge waiting to hear back from him. Baby, can you help with the puppy?
No, it's okay. No, it's
okay.
No, I'm fully digging it.
So I wanted to do this storytelling podcast because I get asked so much about, what about this paranormal case that you did? What about this thing you did? What about this? Or when I was a musician and touring and playing with the different bands that I played with, and so I thought, well, this would be a cool way to just tell those stories in detail and not feel rushed and have no time limit. And it grew to like 10,000 listeners really fast. And I was like, oh, that's super cool. And I love doing it. I love storytelling. That's why, because it's all the same, man. Whether you're doing a podcast or a movie or music, you're telling stories, you know, and I like storytelling, you know. So.
Now, how are you going to approach part 4? I mean, that's what that's what's on everybody's mind, because the films have evolved, they have progressed, they all overlap, they're all part of the same story. Now going on for years. How are you going to approach part 4?
Well, I got to go there. That's part of it. There's a lot more that nobody knows right now, and intentionally, that I haven't let out to the tattooed face man. There's a lot more to that story. And also, there's something that happens at the end of the film. I don't want to give it away because it is a spoiler.
No, yeah,
right
don't.
But there's a question that you saw that's posed to me.
Right.
And I would have to go to Australia to do this thing that's presented to me. And I also think that there's a way that I have to do it, though, because I do want to knock on the government's doors. What I found really interesting about this whole process is you would think right away when I first came out and said the Australian government sanctioned paranormal investigation where they sent this ghost hunter in and he found a ghost, you would think that the first thing they would have done is said, no, we did. This dude's crazy, whatever. Never did. You got a hold of us one time. And all they said was, can you not use our names in the emails? You're the rest of it we're cool with. I'm like, you're cool with the content, but not the names? Like, there is a reason why they were completely fine with us going out and doing this. And I don't know, I'm not saying I know what that reason is yet, but there is a reason. Everything about what they did with Craig was super bizarre. Right down to offering him money, telling him that they would, host these, events that were going to be there, having him investigate for 2 years. You don't got to spend 2 years at a place to say it's haunted, never asking him for a resolve. They brought him in supposedly because all these hauntings were running people off, but they never asked him to do anything about it, just catch footage. And then when he did, they said, oh, well, you had to fake this, right? And he's just like, no. And then I come there, the day after I host an event there, a filmmaker comes there, they shut it down and kick him off the island. There's so many unanswered questions from the government side that I need to speak with somebody at the government's got to get through to me. And I need to, the name of it, the secret base out there, in Alice Springs, they did a show. Oh God, what's the name of it? They did a Netflix show.
The radar installation in the middle of the country.
Yes.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. Pine Gap. Oh, that was a good TV show, by the way.
Yeah, there's some things that I need to do out there that I probably shouldn't talk about right now that involve Pine Gap.
Okay.
But I just like I said, there is an ejection seat. There is a stopping point and a place that I got to get to that I will feel like, okay, this is what's going on right now, and I have enough answers. So what I can say is, for those of you that want to watch SIR NOFACE, Two-Face, and Phantom Rider tonight and tomorrow, please know that there will be a lot more about Two-Face the Gray. I'm sorry, about the tattooed face man, and you'll know who this character is. You won't miss it when he comes into play. But there's a lot more about him that I have found. I have his number, I have his address, I know, and there's a lot more. Interesting guy, crazy backstory, and there's some bizarro connections to this whole story that connect Australia to Mexico. So there's a whole other big chapter here, and that's the last little bit too, is I do think I'm going to have to go to Mexico too.
Well, that I suggest to everybody you do just that, is watch SIR NOFACE, watch Two-Face the Gray. You can get that out of the way tonight, and then tomorrow move on to Phantom Rider, and you can see everything overlap and go 1, 2, 3. Pretty incredible. Chad, thank you so much, my man. Be safe out there, okay? All right, we've got a lot of stuff to do in the future, and I look forward to all of it. Thank you so much.
For sure. Jimmy, you were the best. Everybody who worked really hard to help us land this deal and get Craig's story out, thank you all. To my partner, Thomas, my team, all of my fans and supporters. And Jimmy, love you, man.
You're the best, Chad. Thank you so much, and we'll see you at the Rainbow, hopefully in a couple of months.
Absolutely, brother. Talk to you soon.
Thank you so much, Chad Calek, and I'm going to head to a break right here, and when I come back, I'll go ahead and open up the phone lines, and we'll do that next. 747-228-2051. Say goodnight, Chad.
Peace out. Later.
That's what I'm talking about. Chad Calek. The links are over at jimmychurchradio.com. The new film is Phantom Rider. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I'll be right back after this short break. Stay with us.
To my boy, Jimmy Church, on jimmychurchradio.com.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
But listening to Jimmy Church will.
This is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and I take Life Change Tea supplements every single day. It's what I do. Click on their banner at jimmychurchradio.com. When you take the beans from Central America with dashes of Indonesian and African mixed in and then roast it to the dark side of Fade to Black, you create the ultimate brew of fringe. Introducing the Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Yes, River Moon's darkest customized roast was created for the love of Fade to Black. The alchemy of masterful roasting and smoking the beans is in every sip of this full-bodied, dark Java. I need my coffee dark, deep, with distinct bittersweet chocolate highlights, just like the bunker. Leaning further into the darkness of the roast is Fade to Black blend from River Moon Coffee. Just click on the banner at jimmychurchradio.com and use the promo code F2BBLEND for 15% off of your order today. Go Beckley Teppy.
Hello, my name is Billy Carson, and I am a best-selling author and the founder of ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Together with my team, we have built an all-new conscious streaming TV platform designed with every family member in mind. If you have ever wanted to travel the world and attend lectures and workshops from your favorite speakers but weren't able to, look no further. ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. There are dozens of workshops and lectures from speakers you know and love. We have also included amazing categories to assure that your consciousness is entertained and elevating on a daily basis. Amazing interviews, ancient history, ascension knowledge, wisdom teachings, documentaries, conspiracies, mysteries, health and fitness, conscious cooking, meditations, finance, yoga, and so much more. To start your free trial on any mobile device or computer, surf to ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. That's Forbidden Knowledge with the number 4, ForbiddenKnowledge.tv. Again, visit ForbiddenKnowledge.tv today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, welcome back. Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Thank you, Chad Calek. The film is amazing. It's called Phantom Rider, and it's being worldwide release and premiere is tomorrow, and highly, highly recommend this film. And if you haven't seen SIR NOFACE or Two-Face the Gray, Those are out now, so you can see those. I saw them on, I think it was Amazon over the weekend, and I'm not kidding about that. By the way, it was last week. Chad just texted me, and it was right. I mean, and I told Ray, I said, "This is crazy. Check this out." And I had to show her. I said, "Look, man, it's right here." Right here. Wow, what are the odds of that? That's the universe reaching out to us. Now, a couple of comments that I do want to make really quick is that a part of the focus, and it's an incredible part of Phantom Rider, is this fake alien invasion scenario. And you need to watch the film to see how Chad lays it out there. It's a pretty interesting take. But in the conversation tonight, the one thing that I have to say very directly is TTSA and DeLong and company, Elizondo, everybody that is over there, they need to up their game now. It has been 3 years, same videos, same witnesses, over and over again, just played over. Something's got to pop. TTSA, you can't just rely on the TV show. TTSA is quickly like fading into the background. The way it was 2 years ago and 3 years ago, and the way it is today, two different situations. Something has got to pop, or it's going to be exactly not only how Chad is presented tonight, but the way that myself and others have talked about what is actually going on there. It's got to change. It's got to change quickly. It really does. So with that, I've opened up the phone line, 747-228-2051. Great conversation tonight. I want to thank Chad Calek. Brought his A game for sure. 747-228-2051. And with that, I've got calls on hold, and I've got a little bit of space to break in a couple of more calls before the end of the show. Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
Hi, Jimmy. It's Deb. I survived the weekend.
See, I told you.
I know.
Are you doing?
Are you there?
Yeah. Are you doing okay?
Yeah, I'm great.
Cool. I'm not
absolutely.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you're referring to with surviving the weekend, but
well, you told me on our last call. I hope you have a good weekend. It's going to be a nail biter, and I said I'm great, and you said yeah, you sound great. So
okay.
you were talking about what we were discussing last week all week, which I'm not going to bring up.
Right.
Because it's a new week now.
That's right.
So. Right. I really enjoyed Chad's take on everything. I've seen the first two films. Can't wait to see the next one. I totally agree with a lot of his breakdown on TTSA. As far as I'm concerned, they're a psyop at this point. They're irrelevant. They've kind of melded in with the Pentagon and whatever agenda they have, and that's just my opinion, and I could be wrong. It's happened before. I've been wrong.
Yeah,
so,
but that's I think that an honest, objective take on TTSA and everything is what everybody is doing right now, because so much time has passed. Right, we're not 6 months into this anymore. We're now approaching year 4, and what is actually going on and what was the agenda? Well, now
the agenda's money.
Yeah, now we can start to honestly assess the situation. Well, one of the things you brought up, money. Originally, when they did the stock offerings and whatever money came in, $1.2 million or $2 million or what. I'm wondering today, because we haven't seen the financials on TTSA, but where are they today? Is there continued investment coming in like it was before, or has it just completely trailed off and is down to a trickle? What do you
think? It's quiet. I think it's quiet for a reason. I think it's quiet for a reason. I think the only money they've made has been off their show that they put on the History Channel. Things are fizzling out, and that's the end of that chapter, as far as I'm concerned.
Really?
I'll still be paying attention, but not totally closing the book, but I don't think they're relevant.
Now, when you come to that kind of conclusion, is it the influence from things that you are reading and stuff, or is there another reason for this? Your direct observations of TTSA?
It's my direct observations of TTSA. I keep wanting to say TSTA for some retarded reason, but oops, I used an un-PC word. Anyway, no, it's just watching what they're doing, and and then also influenced by you guys, what you talk about in other stations, what they talk about in regards to TTSA. I just haven't seen anything big come out, and so they come out with all these big, proclamations in the beginning, and then it's just totally fizzled out. If you've got proof, show it, and the proof's in the pudding. They haven't fed us,
It was very interesting.
TV show.
Yeah, Chad's observation of Luis Elizondo, where he said, I'm looking at this guy, I'm looking at this, and then I see Elizondo, and this guy has had media training. There's nobody that's.
I tweeted. I tweeted on that too.
Oh, you did? You know what? I didn't look at Twitter once tonight. I was so into the conversation. I apologize to everybody if you think I was reading your tweets. I wasn't.
It was a great conversation.
Yeah. Chad's really cool. Okay, you said you had a question.
So, yes, I do, and I'm totally going to fess up and admit to stealing this from Dave Schrader. He had this question a couple weeks ago on one of his shows, and it was just fascinating when it was broken down. So, Jimmy, you've got 4 doors in front of you, and you only get to open one of them. And behind each door is all the information on that topic that you'd want to know. Door number 1 is there a God? Door number 2 is there a devil? Door number 3 is there life after death, meaning our soul lives on, or whatever that might mean? And door number 4, is there intelligent life in the universe, meaning not bacteria or plants, but, humans, other species, people? What door do you open?
Yeah,
and why?
But I know the answer to 3 of those, so I don't need to open those doors. I would open up door number 1. Is there a God?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There you go. I know the answer to intelligence in the universe. I know the answer to life after death. The devil could be any number of different things. So I feel pretty confident in playing in that sandbox. But door number 1, is there a God? And I would do a slash to that. I would do a slash dot. I would say, is there a God, and it was Jesus, the Son of God, did he die on the cross and was resurrected? I would that whole thing, I think, is something I would want the answer to.
Right, because is there a God? Like I said, each door encompasses the whole answer.
Well, the is there a God?
That could also mean universal creator, original source, whatever God is to you, and that's what I mean.
Right. Because if it plays out that, you open up that door, and then God isn't God, right? The Bible, the creator of earth, and the whole religious take on it, the 10 Commandments and Moses, the whole thing, right?
Right.
And it's not that, but that the God is actually an intelligence that is running things out there in the universe and throughout space and time, and is creating multiverses and is something else altogether, and not the religious side of things.
Right, I'm okay with that.
Wow, that would be an eye-opener. How would the planet react to that? right? In that, one of the things that we're all told, right, when you're a little kid, God is always watching. He knows everything about you. Be careful. And then you hear this, and you're 5, and then you think to yourself, well, what about my best friend Bob? What about little Annie over there? What about every single person on this planet? Is that kind of and you always think to yourself, sounds kind of impossible, right? How does he pull that off, and why does he care about me? And I've always had that big question mark.
Mm-hmm. Everyone does. And when you get into, the church aspect of it, it comes down to you're taught it's a matter of faith. And if you don't have faith, then then you don't believe in God. And that's just not true. Not everything is black and white, and things are up to, a lot of the Bible has been interpreted and rewritten a million. I don't even want to touch the Bible. Let's not get out of this conversation. I want to go back to the doors. My answer, do you want to know what my answer was?
Of course I do.
Door number,
yeah.
I wanted to open door number 3 as their life after death. And they kind of broke that down because I was really interested in what they would say. And Dave said, I would want to, and that was my first impulse. He said, I'd want to open door number 4. And the reason he'd want to open door number 4 to find out about intelligent life is because that's the one thing he doesn't feel sure about. He says, but let me tell you why. He says, because, as a person of faith who believes in God, and he's made that real plain, what if I open door number 1 and there's no God? Then that destroys my whole foundation and belief system and everything. And then how do I go on? Because if there's no God, there's no devil. And then that answers door number 3. There's no afterlife if there's no God, because that's what your whole foundation, and your whole world comes crashing down. He goes, and I don't want that to happen. So I'd rather play it safe and open door number 4. And when he laid it out that way, I closed door number 3 and I opened door number 4.
Yeah,
although I do believe, so it was an interesting breakdown.
Yeah, Dave's take on that is flawed, though.
In what way?
It's a little bit flawed. Door number 1, there is no God or whatever. That has well, it depends on your take, right? But that to me has nothing to do with life after death. Right? So you can't say, oh, there is no God, then there is no devil, then there is no life after death. No. That my take on that is that would be flawed. With consciousness and the universe and what consciousness is and how it's developed, may not have anything to do with religion, and I'm not even sure that it would, even if there is a God.
Yeah, but I don't mix religion in with God. God is a separate thing to me. It's a universal creator and source. So if that source created us as humans, and our souls, are in these meat sacks of ours, then when we die and our souls go on, that's, he allows your soul to go on, and then that feeds into reincarnation and all of that. So I don't compartmentalize, I'm not saying this right. I don't put God in a box and say God is attached to religion. For me, they're totally separate, and I kind of reject religion in a way. I'm a very weird mix of things, Jimmy.
Well, see, the thing that I have the biggest issue with is that, and this is so fundamental, and everybody shares this point of view. They really, really do. But it's this: Buddhists, Hindus, Islam, Catholicism, and Christianity, and others can't all be right. Right?
I think they're all right. I think they're all right universally. Universally, we're all come from a source.
But Buddhism doesn't have anything to do with God, right? And the same thing with Hinduism. And then if you pull in Islam and their version of things, although Abraham and some of that stuff overlaps and comes into play, but and then you have the Jewish side of things where there is no Jesus, right? I often sit back and go, well, the fundamental things across all of these are, be a good person and do the best you can and be good to others while you are here on this earth. That's the one thing that applies across the board. Everything else is right out the window. I mean, they don't even relate to each other.
Well, think about this. Take all the religious books, remove them from the planet. Let's pretend they never existed, and we're all just humans here on this planet together. And there are no rules dictating us in a religious context. What do we do with that? I think we'd be a much better society.
Well, of course. So then aren't you Buddhist at that point?
I don't even want to put a label on it. I believe in a creator that put us here, whatever that creator might be. And we're all here together. We're all the human race. And,
What would it take?
It's complicated,
Right. Which is my next question. And everybody that's on hold, just stay right there. Is this? What does it take to get everybody onto the same page? Right? Is that even possible? All the wars, all the craziness throughout history that has been based on religion and beliefs and non-beliefs. We are no closer today to getting everybody on the same page. What would it take?
Wow. I have to think about that one. I mean, I have an idea, but it's based kind of on my upbringing, and I like to separate myself from how I was brainwashed early on. But I still have threads that connect me to that.
It would be a fake alien invasion. That would be the first thing. I think that would get everybody on the same page real quick. And the second one would be a real alien invasion, right? I mean, just the crazy town happens, because at that point, I can't answer specifically, but at that point, I would say that all religions now are off of the table, unless Jesus Christ or God himself steps off of that spaceship. Other than that, everybody's wrong.
Well, the problem with an alien invasion, whether it's faked or real, is a lot of people, and this has been mentioned about the Pentagon too, the reason they don't want to touch the alien thing is they think it's demonic. And so if we have some kind of alien realization and it was real, they're just going to say that they're all from the devil and they're all entities here and they're all evil and they're demons, and that we have to fight harder than ever, and it would cause even more separation among Christians and this evil entity that's suddenly here. They would reject it. I hate to say that, but I know it's true. And so that wouldn't be a solution from what I have observed. But,
Yeah. All great questions, Deb. Thank you. And another great phone call. All right, we'll see you tomorrow night.
Jimmy.
Have a great night.
Great show. Great show tonight.
Have a great night.
Take care, dear. Bye.
All the best questions right there are in play. I'm being serious, too. I mean, if you are devout to whatever your religion is, right? But you're devout and you're all in, and then suddenly the rug gets pulled out from under you. Does the Vatican, do the religious televangelists around the country suddenly put a religious spin on this? Of course, they have the same God that we do here. And they're baptizing on their home world. It's no different. I mean, does that, I don't know. That there's going to have to be a pretty quick spin on this to keep the entire world from not losing their mind. You have to remember Christianity and Catholicism, that's the biggest religion in the world. You look at Islam, you look at Hinduism and Buddhism, and you think, oh man, right? You're gonna have to keep the world in check. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Let's go back to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Who's calling?
What's up, Jim?
Who's this?
An old friend from Point Doom.
My old friend from Point Doom. It has to have a name, though.
Yeah, Yeah, it's Michael.
Hi, Michael. How are you tonight?
Man, I'm riding it out. There's a lot of weird things going on, and I'm just trying to remain non-reactionary and more just going through the process.
What crazy things are going on? Help me out.
Well, man, I'm really having a hard time with the way that the election was handled. And I'm just, I learned a lot from you, Jim, is just try to be short and sweet. So I'm going to try to leave that one alone. I don't want to be knocked off the air for saying something that seems unfounded. But I mean, if you were really voting for Biden, you might as well be voting for a rock. Let me just let that go.
Well, I don't, but your opinion is fine. That's okay. Obviously,
the thing is this, Jim, is that the same thing happened back with Kennedy. Is that when you start having counts of people that are no longer living alive, when you're having social workers that are using people in retirement homes that didn't even vote, it sure seemed like, this is just my opinion, Jim, and I'm not going to try to combat you with facts, but it's almost like when Hillary did not get elected, that there were 3 years used to figure out how no way could Trump get reelected. That's just, without going into all the facts. And a couple of really interesting documentaries that I have watched about what exactly went into play to get all the people from Trump's party discredited, exceptionally Mike Flynn. What they did to Mike Flynn and his family and the process of intimidation from not withdrawing from the vigor that they were trying to represent their candidate was absolutely incredible.
Yeah, but this is the thing, and I don't get into politics on this show. But
yeah, I'm not trying to remain neutral, Jim.
Okay, but when you say something like that, didn't Trump himself call Mike Flynn an idiot? Incompetent? Well, he got fired because he sucked and I mean, it's just like, wait a minute here.
But couldn't that possibly be, Jim, because he was given directives that he didn't follow under pressure?
But it goes, what I'm trying to say here is that the conspiracies that we're talking about here cancel themselves out all the time from both sides. I mean,
well, what I saw, Jim, is that there were people actually hired to find out the money trail, the phone trail, and then whether or not those people were associated with people that were being paid to make an opinion.
Well,
that was
this is my take on anything like that. Look, and I'm going to say this very direct. I love a conspiracy more than the next guy or the next girl.
You got to prove it.
I love them. I love getting into it. I like looking at it and observing it. Okay, I really do. In this case. And we're not talking about 9/11, which is something else altogether. We're not talking about other conspiracies of the past, and a lot of them have turned out to be not only real but diabolical. Okay, so but in this case right now, either you have Sleepy Joe and the inept, dumb Democrats that don't know anything about anything, but somehow managed to pull off the biggest conspiracy in the world. You can't have that both ways. But the flip side is what everybody is suggesting here is that Republicans are never part of any of this, right? And you can't have that both ways.
Let's Jim, let's reapproach real quick.
No, I only have Mike. I only have 15 seconds left. So I'm going to say.
Okay, well, then let me say something else real quick off the subject. Your guest was all about, he doesn't know whether he's all in or all out. Because,
I only have, we're going to get, Mike, we're going to get cut off the network here in a second.
Okay, let me tell you something. Once you make a report on aliens, you're gone. I mean, you're already chosen. You already picked. You can't get out of it.
There you go, Mike. Have a great night. Behave and be well, and we'll see you right here tomorrow.
Love you, Jim. Say hi to Rita.
Right on. Great phone call. This is Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. What a great show tonight. We are back. Fade to Black is back. I'm in a great mood. Fade to Black's executive producers, Rita Camarion. Show is produced by Hill J. Palm, Renee, Dennis, and Kevin. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vitoa, Mark D. Kovar. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music, Doug Aldridge. Intro, Spaceboy. SpaceboyMusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA, The Planet. This broadcast owned and copyrighted 2020 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tomorrow night, right here, Steve LaPlume, Rendlesham, a month later, the second UFO incident at East Gate. Until then, I want everybody to be safe. This is Fade to Black.